in Konoha. At first, I annihilated the Sarutobi clan. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 101, from Orochimaru's crazy fans. Kai and I. Then this time it's up to you and Yikang. After the Konoha collapse plan, the overall strength of both Sand Village and Konoha will be weakened, which is beneficial to the follow-up plan of our organization. Take advantage of the time of the Chunin exam to collect information about Konoha's Jinchuriki. Pain finally spoke. At present, there seems to be no better solution than Kai and I. Is it enough to just collect information? Kai and I asked Pain. Well, it's not time to collect tailed beasts yet. After saying that, Pain withdrew from the illusion body technique. Others also withdrew one after another. Brother Kai and I really envy you. Destroying Konoha is such an artistic thing. Bye. Tell me about the ninjutsu of mutual destruction later. Well, art is the beauty of fleeting, mutual destruction, art. Well, leaving this sentence, Deidara also withdrew from the illusion body. Finally, in the huge enclosed space, around the Zen lamp, only Kai and Itachi were left. Kai, what is your purpose? This was the first sentence Itachi said at this gathering. Didn't I make it very clear just now? Apart from helping Orochimaru with Yikang to kill the fourth Kazekage, I can't do anything else. At most, I can just watch how the old man Sarutobi Hiruzen was killed by his beloved apprentice. Or, what do you want me to do? Kai said something that even he himself didn't believe. Itachi heard this, but didn't answer. He just looked at Kai deeply, no longer asking for trouble, and removed the magic body, and disappeared in the confined space. The leader has agreed to our cooperation with Orochimaru. Kai opened his eyes, and this was the first sentence he said to Yikang. Thank you, Lord Kai. Hearing this, even with Yikang's calm personality, he couldn't help but feel excited, and the joy on his face was almost beyond words. Kai smiled slightly, didn't say much, got up and walked out of the room. I'll go out first. It seems that there are guests coming, because Kai doesn't like living in a secret room. They were arranged by Orochimaru to a manner. At this moment, the night is deep. Just now, he sensed Kimimaro coming. Not surprisingly, this guy was here because he threatened Orochimaru during the day and disrespected Orochimaru, whom he admired the most. He felt that he was hindering Orochimaru and wanted to eliminate the threat for his lord Orochimaru. You knew I would come. Seeing Kai walk out of the manor, Kimimaro's eyes flashed with surprise, but based on his confidence in the corpse vein, he said calmly, it's almost the same. Although you and Bei have different personalities, strictly speaking, you belong to the same type of people. Kai shrugged slightly. Bei? Kimimaro was stunned. Who is he? A person who has the same tragic experience as you. I think you should have seen him. Here's a hint. It's the Hidden Mist Village. There is a child following a ninja carrying a beheading sword. Kai replied. It's her. Kimimaro suddenly realized and recalled the scene when he met Zabuza and Haku before meeting Orochimaru. He murmured thoughtfully and then said, then you must know why I'm here? Of course, I just want to clear the obstacles for your beloved Orochimaru. I think I have hindered your Orochimaru, but I don't think you can do something that even your Orochimaru can't do. Kai shrugged slightly. Then try it. Kimimaro stared at Kai with a serious face. This is not a bluff. You must go all out, but before you can see its ability clearly, you should use a long-range attack to test it. Thinking of this in his heart, Kimimaro took off his shirt, got ready, and dozens of bone spurs emerged from his body. Just when he wanted to release the 10-finger piercing bullet to launch a long-range attack, a big tree suddenly sprang out from under his feet, and in the blink of an eye, it wrapped him up in it, leaving only his head outside. This is... Kimimaro was startled, and when he looked ahead, there was no trace of Kai. In the air, there were only cherry blossom petals floating around. This is an illusion. If you can break this illusion, I will give you a fair duel. By the way, even your most beloved Lord Orochimaru cannot break this illusion. Kai-Nai's voice came from all directions. It was as if every petal was Kai-Nai, making it difficult to see the truth. So that's how it is. As expected of an existence known as the god of illusion, it can actually trap people in an illusion silently. But illusions will always be illusions. Don't say that this tree that trapped me is fake. Even if it is real, I can break free. Kimimaro smiled, and his face regained his confidence and composure. The earth curse on his chest gradually spread, and in the blink of an eye, Kimimaro turned into a monster with bone spurs on his back and a huge tail. Under the powerful force of Kimimaro's curse seal, the giant tree broke into pieces, and Kimimaro actually broke free from the restraints with brute force. But soon, the giant tree rose again, and tied Kimimaro again, and Kimimaro broke free again. Over and over again. Soon, Kimimaro was exhausted by himself. In the distance, on the high platform of the building, Orochimaru and Kabuto Yakushi quietly watched everything below. Lord Orochimaru, is it really okay to let Kimimaro go on like this? The opponent is Fujiwara Chiya, and if he is not careful, he will die. Kabuto Yakushi spread his hands and said so, but he did not mean to stop it. Don't worry, this is the most beloved disciple of Orochimaru. How can I bear to kill him? Chiya's voice suddenly sounded beside Orochimaru and Kabuto's ears. I don't know, when he appeared behind the two of them, with his hands on their shoulders. What? Chiya's sudden appearance caught the two off guard. Kabuto was startled. Cold sweat broke out on his forehead, and he shuddered suddenly, performing the instant body technique to distance himself from Kanai. Compared with Kabuto, although Orochimaru was also shocked, he was much calmer. He still crossed his arms and pretended to be relaxed and said, Kanai, you are still as elusive as ever. What did you do to Kimimaro? Nothing, it's just that your sick disciple thought I was hindering you and wanted to kill me. I made a bet with him. As long as he can break my illusion, I will give him a chance to fight fairly. He is trying hard to be stubborn. Kanai said lightly. I apologize to you for Kimimaro's recklessness. I wonder if you can ask Kanai to help him remove the illusion. Orochimaru rarely lowered his proud head. He knew that Kanai's illusion could not be removed by others unless his mental energy was stronger than his, or he had the ability to be immune to illusions, see through illusions, and avoid illusions in advance. PS. 4th update. Please recommend and monthly votes. Chapter 102 Beautiful Terumi Mei. What if he still wants to kill me? Kanai said innocently. Then it's up to Kanai-kun to deal with. Just spare his life. After all, it took many years to cultivate a container. Even if it has lost its value as a container, there is still some affection. If possible, he doesn't want Kimimaro to die in such a place. Is that so? Then I'll give you a favor. As he spoke, Kanai disappeared out of thin air and appeared again in front of Kimimaro with his Zanpakuto in hand. He habitually held his Zanpakuto in reverse and released the mirror flower and water moon. Kimimaro thought he had broken Kanai's illusion. He condensed a bone spear in his hand and rushed forward without hesitation, piercing Kanai's chest. However, the next second Kanai's whole person turned into a sky full of cherry blossom petals. When Kimimaro reacted, he felt a sharp pain in his chest. He looked down and saw that his chest had been dyed blood red. Even his bone armor buried under the skin after the cursed seal was shattered, revealing a huge and hideous gap. The cherry blossom petals condensed and formed again, turning into Kanai's figure. He put away the blade and walked slowly towards the manor. From beginning to end, he never looked back at Kimimaro. What an amazing guy. Looking at Kanai's figure going away, Kimimaro's curse seal was automatically lifted. His consciousness gradually blurred, and he fell to the ground. Perhaps only he knew that, even if Kanai did not cast illusions, he could end the battle by relying solely on physical skills. The wound on his chest was the best proof. At this time, Orochimaru and Kabuto came over. Kabuto checked Kimimaro's condition and found that he was still alive. While performing medical ninjutsu to treat him, he said, Lord Orochimaru, is Kanai's illusion really that strong? Kimimaro in the curse seal state can be so easily. Orochimaru did not answer, but clenched his hands, and his heart became more and more determined to get the Sharingan. He firmly believed that, as long as he got the Sharingan, Kanai's illusion would no longer pose any threat to him. The Hidden Mist Village. The Mizukage Building. Emerald green eyes, long smooth reddish brown hair, pink lips. Full figure, full moon, fair skin. Wearing a blue tube dress with a white belt around the waist. Dark blue nail polish on the nails. 4 years have passed since Kainai took away her first kiss. The 5th generation Mizukage Terumi Medi is still so beautiful. She is nearly 30 years old and looks like a beautiful girl in her early 20s. Under the effect of pure gold, the years have never left a trace on her. On the contrary, because of her long-term life as a superior, she has been given a mature and noble charm. In these short 4 years, she and Kainai have met several times in succession. The earliest time was 3 years ago, when she was caught by Kainai while taking a bath at home, and she was so angry that she led people to chase him for several days. As a result, he didn't catch up with him, but was taken advantage of by the other party and almost got eaten up in the end. And the most recent time was just a month ago, when Kainai came to the Land of Water for a mission, and the two had a fight again. The third article Terumi Medi. Thousands of words omitted here. Medi Terumi looked at the scroll in her hand, and then looked at Zabuza and Haku who were tied up by the Kirigakuranbu. She was immediately furious. What a guy. She had been thinking about catching him every day. She wanted to lock him up, tie his 5 limbs, and ravage him madly, to avenge the old grudge. But Kainai turned around and stuffed 2 rebel ninjas into her hands. He even said that the Kirigakure village was now lacking in talents, so he wanted to add more helpers. Taking a deep breath, Medi Terumi suppressed the anger in her heart. After a long time, she spoke and said to the Kirigakuranbu, "Untie them, and the rest of you go out first." Hearing this, the Kirigakuranbu looked at each other, and the white-eyed Killer King said hesitantly, "Lord Mizukage, is this too dangerous? After all, Zabuza once assassinated the previous Mizukage. What? Is it possible that my words are useless now?" Medi Terumi heard this, and her eyebrows were raised. "I dare not." King responded respectfully, untied Zabuza and Bei, and walked out of the Mizukage's office with a group of Kirigakuranbu. At this time, Zabuza and Bei finally breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that Kainai really knew the 5th Mizukage. Terumi Medi looked them up and down. When her phoenix eyes fell on Bei, her beautiful eyebrows raised slightly and asked, "Did that bastard really give you this scroll?" "Yes, Mizukage." Zabuza and Bei looked at each other, and they answered respectfully. "Did he say anything to you? Or did he ask you to say something?" Terumi Medi asked. "That, he didn't." Zabuza and Bei shook their heads. "That bastard." Terumi Medi tightened her jade hand holding the scroll. At this moment, Bei suddenly thought of something and added, "Master Kainai said that he would borrow the beheading sword for a while and return it to Kirigakure in the future." "In the future?" Medi Terumi blushed, and her jade hand gently stroked the pure gold ring hidden in her chest without leaving a trace. Her expression instantly eased a little. "Okay, Zabuza, from today on, I will pardon you in the name of Mizukage and return you to Kirigakure. Because of the blood mist policy of the previous generation, Kirigakure has not yet recovered. At the same time, considering the crimes you have committed in the past, I can't help but punish you. Now I will demote you to Kirigakure Genin. Starting from the grassroots, you have no objection, right?" "Thank you, Master Mizukage." Zabuza nodded to express his gratitude. For him, there is no difference between Genin and Jonin. Anyway, with his strength, it is only a matter of time before he returns to Jonin. As for Bei, Medi Terumi turned her eyes to Bei, pondered for a moment, and said solemnly, "You and I are both ninjas with bloodline limits. I wonder if you are willing to become my disciple." She knew what kind of person Kainai was. This sudden kindness could not be because of Zabuza, this ugly guy. It was 100% because of this beautiful girl. So, she planned to accept Bei as her disciple, to be on the safe side. "Accept me as your disciple." Bei looked at Zabuza with some hesitation, because she already had a master. "Hurry up, Bei, with your talent, you will grow better by following the Mizukage." Zabuza patted Bei's shoulder lightly. Seeing that Zabuza said so, Bei couldn't refuse anymore, and finally agreed. After Zabuza and Bei left, Medi Terumi showed a triumphant smile on her face. She had already begun to imagine how Kainai would be frustrated when she saw Bei become her disciple. PS. The 5th update. Please vote for me. I still need 300 votes, and I will update the extra chapter when I get 1000 votes. Chapter 103 Yi Kang's Revenge. Uchiha Flame Formation. 7 days later, at the border of the Land of Fire, the surrounding area was desolate and full of rocks. Orochimaru, Chiya, Yikang, and Kabuto Yakushi stood on the top of the cliff. Below them was a valley, which was also the place where Orochimaru killed Ilyusha in the original story. Orochimaru stood beside Chiya and explained, Ilyusha is a magnetic ninja. His ability is to control gold dust. This is the place I have been surveying. The entire mountain range is almost entirely made of rocks, especially this valley. The gold dust content is very small. It is not easy for Ilyusha to extract gold dust from such a place. Originally, I planned to team up with Kabuto and Kimimaro to assassinate him here, but now that Chiya is here, I guess it won't be so troublesome. Kanai suddenly realized that it was no wonder that Ilyusha in the original story died so aggrievedly. He didn't even show his face and was stabbed by Orochimaru. From the beginning to the end, the relationship was calculated by Orochimaru. At this time, at the bottom of the valley, Ilyusha, wearing the Wind Shadow God robe and the Wind Shadow hat, walked slowly over with two trusted Anbu. Orochimaru looked at Kanai with interest. Oh, they seem to be here. Kanai-kun, what are you going to do? No need to be so troublesome, just leave Ilyusha to Yikang. Kanai raised his right hand, and flames came out of his 5 fingers. The moment Kanai pressed his fingers on the ground, a giant barrier formed entirely of flames instantly rose up at the bottom of the valley, wrapping Ilyusha and the other two. The sudden change startled Ilyusha, and the two Anbu beside him had already drawn their swords, and were on guard around Ilyusha. The Uchiha fire array was obtained by me, when Uchiha Itachi wiped out the Uchiha family. King Lang's voice suddenly sounded outside the barrier. Then a small opening opened in front of the barrier, and Kyuubi, Yikang, Orochimaru, and Yakushi Kabuto slowly walked in. Orochimaru, what do you mean by this? Because Chiya and Yikang were wearing wind chime hats, Ilyusha did not recognize them at first, but only saw Orochimaru and Kabuto Yakushi and questioned them. Isn't it obvious that I don't intend to abide by the agreement, but decided to kill you and replace you, and then provoke a fight between Tsunagakure and Konoha, so as to better implement the Konoha collapse plan? Orochimaru slumped and spread his hands, frankly stated his purpose, then looked at Chiya and Yikang meaningfully, and added with gloating, originally, I planned to do so, but now something unexpected has happened. Someone is more suitable than me, and wants to kill you more. Don't even think about it. Hearing this, Ilyusha's heart was burning with anger, and he formed seals with both hands, and then pressed them to the ground. The rock ground trembled violently, and a stream of gold sand emerged from it. However, the amount was pitifully small, far less spectacular than during the 4th Ninja World War, and probably equivalent to the amount of Gaara's gold during the Chunin exam. Seeing this, Orochimaru continued to gloat over his misfortune and said, are you surprised that there is so little gold dust here? Of course, I have specially surveyed this place. Ilyusha, you are doomed to die today. You bastard. Ilyusha cursed in his heart. He knew that with just this little gold dust, he could never be the opponent of Orochimaru. He then transformed it into the most lethal form, the gold dust cube, and violently slammed into the barrier. He intended to escape from here by breaking the barrier. However, this Uchiha fire formation, that was strong enough to withstand the attack of the 8 tails, was not so easy to break. After the gold dust cube collided with the barrier, the latter only trembled for a while, and nothing happened. The contact surface between the gold dust cube and the barrier ignited a ball of fire, and then melted, and turned into golden water. It dripped on the ground. Don't waste your energy. This is a barrier that is strong enough to resist the tailed beasts. It can't be broken with your little gold dust. Kanai said on the side. Ilyusha looked at Kanai and Yikang, who were wearing red cloud and black robes. Who are you? Hearing this, Kanai and Yikang took off their wind chime hats at the same time, revealing 2 young faces and scratched ninja forehead protectors. Fujiwara Chiya and Yikang, when Ilyusha saw Kanai, he was just shocked. He was shocked that the genocidal Kanai who destroyed the Sarutobi clan and the Shimura clan overnight would appear here. And when he saw Yikang, the expression on Ilyusha's face changed from shock to despair. Since Yikang appeared here, he would really be in trouble today. So you still recognize me? I have wanted to kill you for the past few years, and I'm almost going crazy. Yi Kang stood in front of Kainai and the other two, and a ferocious smile appeared on her beautiful face, which was very different from her previous kind appearance. Yi Kang, since you are still alive, why don't you go back to the village? Why do you hang out with people like Orochimaru and Fujiwara Chiya? You are the hero of Sand Village. Alyosha tried to use the village to persuade Yi Kang to turn against him. Yi Kang laughed in anger. What a hero of Sand Village. When you sold me to Kirigakure, why didn't you think that I was the hero of Sand Village? When you defined me as an S-class traitor in Sand Village, why didn't you think that I was the hero of Sand Village? Now that you are in a desperate situation, you remember that I'm the hero of Sand Village. Alyosha, your ugly mouth makes me feel sick. No, you misunderstood. You don't understand the situation of the village at that time. For the sake of the village, I had to. Alyosha said everything so righteously, trying to convince Yi Kang by talking. Unfortunately, Alyosha is not Naruto. His words for the sake of the village will only completely anger Yi Kang. Wind style, suppress harm. Yi Kang's face condensed, a cold light swept across his eyes, and his hands quickly formed seals. A huge amount of chakra condensed in the throat, and then suddenly spurted out, turning into a high-pressure wind ball that exploded on the ground in front, forming a large-scale vortex storm that covered Alyosha and his two subordinates. Being in the barrier, Alyosha and the other two had no way to avoid it. Alyosha had no choice but to create a sand wall in front of him for defense. It barely blocked the invasion of the vortex storm, but the two subordinates on both sides behind him were not so lucky. They were directly rolled into the barrier by the storm. With a scream of "ah," they were burned into charcoal by the high temperature of the barrier. Oh, isn't this Kakuzu's ninjutsu? Kainai-kun even taught her this, which is really enviable. Looking at the extremely spectacular storm in front, Orochimaru said to Kainai with interest, "It's just a B-level wind escape, which is nothing." Kainai shrugged slightly. That being said, please don't damage Alyosha's face later. I need his skin to perform ninjutsu to impersonate the fourth Kazekage. While the two were talking, Yi Kang did not give Alyosha a chance to breathe and performed the scorch release. Under the floating effect of the scorch release fireball, her body slowly rose into the air. PS. First update. Please recommend on monthly votes. Thanks to Mo Ranshan G. Book friend asterisk 5442. Book friend asterisk 5588. Book friend asterisk 2606. Fangbo Gao Cal 7. For the reward of 500 starting coins. Chapter 104 Return to Tansho Street. A strange scene appeared. The flames on the barrier seemed to be attracted by some kind of force and merged into Yi Kang's fireball. Suddenly, the fireball exploded dozens of times and floated in the sky like a dazzling tomorrow. At this moment, the results of Yi Kang's practice over the past 3 years finally appeared. It's really amazing. He can absorb the flames of the barrier and merge them into the burning escape. In this barrier, he is simply an invincible existence. Looking at the fireball in the sky, Orochimaru couldn't help but admire. At the same time, he looked at Kainai again, and his eyes were more and more fearful. Kainai ignored Orochimaru and continued to watch the fight between the two. Alyosha knew that this move was extraordinary, so he chose to strike first. He condensed all the gold dust into a drill at once and stabbed Yi Kang continuously at high speed. Unfortunately, after absorbing the flames of the barrier, Yi Kang's burning escape was no longer the same as before, and she threw a fireball casually. At the moment when the fireball collided with the gold dust drill, the latter melted into gold liquid in an instant. The fireball continued to move forward and hit Alyosha fiercely. Alyosha avoided the attack of the fireball with the help of the sand instant, but in this closed barrier, without the protection of the gold dust drill, he was already at the end of his strength. Just as Yi Kang was about to throw a huge fireball high in the sky, Kainai suddenly appeared behind Alyosha and pierced his chest with a knife. Puff! Alyosha suddenly spit out a large mouthful of blood. His eyes widened instantly, and he looked at his chest in disbelief. Master Kainai, what are you doing? Yi Kang put away the burning escape, fell to the ground, and looked at Kainai in some confusion. Alyosha's body is still useful. If you throw your burning escape down, I'm afraid he will turn into charcoal. But don't worry, I didn't hurt this kid's vitals. I just seriously injured him. Now he is still at your disposal." Kainai pulled out his Zanpakuto and kicked Luosha away with one foot, shaking off the blood on the blade. At the same time, he dispersed the barrier with great evil fun. At this moment, Luosha's body was severely injured, and he fled away tremblingly, like a lamb to be slaughtered. This look is very similar to the original Danzo's dying struggle before his death, but he couldn't escape. Kainai has a habit of killing people, that is, never leaving any trouble. The moment the Zanpakuto pierced Luosha's chest, Luosha was declared dead. Not only the body, but also the soul. When he died, the soul would also dissipate. At that time, even if he was resurrected by the impure world reincarnation, he would not be able to revive. "Thank you, Master Kainai." Seeing Luosha's embarrassed escape, Ye Kang understood, performed a seal, and split dozens of shadow clones to chase after him. Each shadow clone held a kunai or shuriken in her hand. She wanted to return everything she experienced in the land of water to Luosha. Soon, Ye Kang's many shadow clones surrounded Luosha. Looking at the people around him, Ye Kang, who were holding shurikens or kunai, roared in despair and unwillingness. Luosha was stabbed into a hedgehog by countless kunai and shurikens. Looking at the dead Luosha, Orochimaru showed a sinister smile on his face, and said to Kainai, "Kainai-kun is really a bad taste, but when did you become interested in corpses?" "I'm not interested in corpses, but your old partner is interested in the corpse of a ninja with a bloodline limit. I can use him to exchange for something later. If you want his human skin, go and get it quickly, but don't damage it," Kainai said indifferently. "Scorpion." Orochimaru suddenly realized, and then winked at the side of Kabuto, who immediately understood, and walked towards Luosha's body. In terms of recycling human skin, he is better than his master, and no one is better than him. Not long after, Ye Kang and Kabuto came over, and at the same time, they had two more scrolls in their hands. The scroll in Ye Kang's hand contained Luosha's body. The scroll in Kabuto's hand contained Rasa's human skin. Then, Chiai-kun, we'll say goodbye. There's still half a month before the Chunin exam. What are you going to do next? If you want to go to Konoha to watch the battle and witness how I kill the third Hokage, I can arrange it for you. But in that case, Chiai-kun and Ms. Yakira will have to pretend to be the Kazukage's guards. Orochimaru took the scroll from Kabuto's hand, and said to Chiai, "No need, wait until you kill that old man the third Hokage. I'll make my own arrangements. But before that, you'd better prepare what I need. Otherwise, when the Konoha collapse plan is over, I can't guarantee that the second pillar will be able to come to you safely." Leaving these words, Chiai and Yakira disappeared into the valley at the same time. "You bastard. When I get Sasuke's body, you'll be next." As Kainai left, Orochimaru's smile suddenly faded. He cursed in his heart, and turned his head to look at Kabuto. "Have you extracted Rasa's flesh tissue?" "It's already been collected, Lord Orochimaru." Kabuto nodded. He knew that this was Orochimaru's preparation for the future impure world reincarnation. Of course, neither he nor Orochimaru himself would have expected that Orochimaru's hands would be sealed by the third generation soon, making it impossible to perform impure world reincarnation. On the other side, Kainai and the others had left the border of the Land of Fire and came to Tansho Street. He came here not for any other reason, but in the battle with Rasa. He habitually released his observation haki and entered the sage mode. This was his habit for many years. After all, there was Orochimaru with ulterior motives by his side. He needed to be alert at all times. In his years of Akatsuki career, Kainai gradually developed his own fighting style. Observation haki can make a person's five senses sharper, predict and avoid danger, and ignore the breath barrier or the means of isolating breath like the absolute fly technique. Sense all the breaths of the surrounding creatures. Although the sage mode is not as accurate as the former, but with the continuous improvement of Kainai skills, the perception area is extremely wide. In terms of the perception range alone, it has exceeded the observation color. And not long ago, he sensed Tsunade's chakra in the remote Tansho Street far from the place where Luosha fell. So he came here. "Master Kainai, didn't you say you were going to Konoha?" Ye Kang asked, somewhat puzzled. At this time, Ye Kang had just completed his revenge and lost his target. For a moment, He felt empty in his heart and fell into confusion. If he had to say what he wanted to do, it was that he hoped to stay with Kainai forever. She has become accustomed to such a life. Nothing, it's just that there is still a long time before the Chunin exam, and I want to buy some gifts for Kai and her here to take back. Kainai made up a reason, and he naturally couldn't tell the other party that he was going to see Tsunade. PS. Second update, please recommend on monthly votes. Chapter 105 and Tsunade's daughter, Fujiwara Chiya. It's not that Kainai doesn't believe Yikang, but it's too dangerous. According to Tsunade's personality, if she sees me again, there's no guarantee that she won't fight. If Yikang, a beautiful woman, is with her, I'm afraid the whole Tansho street will be in trouble. Yikang suddenly realized, and didn't doubt him. Next, the two found a hotel and settled down. Taking off the Akatsuki robe and the ninja forehead protector, Kainai took a bath, changed into casual clothes, and embarked on the journey to find Tsunade. At the same time, in a gambling house somewhere in Tansho Street, light yellow long hair, combed into a large ponytail, with a diamond-shaped blue-purple mark on the forehead, light yellow thin eyebrows, bright brown pupils, and light red lips. Wearing a loose sleeveless top similar to a kimono, with a black cloth belt tied around the waist, and dark blue cropped trousers. Wearing a tea green long gown with black edges on the outside, with a very eye-catching gambling word printed on the back of the long gown. 4 years later, under the blessing of the 100 healing technique, even without pure gold, Tsunade's appearance has not changed at all. On the contrary, after becoming a mother, she has a bit more of a human and wife attribute that she didn't have before. She has become more mature. Tsunade-sama, please don't gamble anymore. This is the last money we have. If you gamble again, we will have to sleep on the street tonight. Even if you don't think about yourself, you have to think about the young lady. Shizune begged desperately beside the gambling table. She was in great pain. God knows how she has been through all this time. Not only does she have to take care of the little one every day, she also has to take care of the big one. It was okay at first. Because of giving birth to a child, Tsunade restrained herself for a long time. And even if she gambled, she often came back with a lot of money. But since the birth of the child, Tsunade's gambling luck has not been so good, and she has returned to the state of losing every time she gambled. Baby Shizune is in pain. It's okay, Shizune, I'll definitely win this time. Tsunade ignored Shizune's plea, but secretly took out a few bills from the last pile of money and left them, then exchanged them for chips and bet them all. I'll continue to bet on big. The next moment, including Shizune and Tsunade, to everyone's surprise, Tsunade actually won this time. Tsunade-sama, we won, we finally won. Shizune was so excited that she almost cried. She almost thought she would have to sleep on the street tonight. Looking at the extra chips in front of her, Tsunade was stunned, because every time she won money, something unpleasant would usually happen. This was the case with her last pregnancy, until she completely accepted reality and decided to give birth to the child. Her gambling luck returned to normal. The gambling continued. In the second round, Tsunade bet on big and won. In the third round, she still bet on big and won. In the fourth round, she changed to bet on small and won again. As Tsunade continued to win, the chips accumulated on the table began to increase exponentially. Gradually, more and more people gathered to watch. But Tsunade was not happy at all, because this was too abnormal. It was not until the 10th round that she finally noticed that something was wrong. She directly hit the most difficult leopard. Shizune, take Chinatsu and Tunton, let's leave Tansho Street quickly. Tunton is the name of Tsunade's pet pig. And Chinatsu is naturally the young lady mentioned by Shizune, that is, the daughter of Tsunade and Kainai. Because Tsunade herself is a descendant of the Senju clan, and Chinatsu was born in the summer, Tsunade simply took the name Chinatsu to save trouble. Shizune, where have you been? Seeing that no one responded, Tsunade turned around and shouted again. A moment later, Shizune ran over breathlessly and said anxiously, oh no, Tsunade-sama, when you were gambling just now, Tunton and the young lady disappeared. I searched the entire casino, and didn't see them. At the same time, on the street outside the gambling house, a pink pet pig with a pearl necklace was walking and stopping with a step that didn't recognize any relatives. Behind it, followed a girl about 3 or 4 years old. She looked like a gorgeous Barbie doll, stunning, with waist-length golden hair hanging in the air like a waterfall, and a smooth and fair face dotted under pupils as deep as stars and bright moons. The wide clothes could not cover her slender figure, lips like cherry blossoms, and spirit like autumn water. The girl was very beautiful. She inherited Tsunade's hair color and pupils, and her facial features were somewhat similar to Kainai. She trotted and shouted in a childish voice, "Pinton, wait for me," but the pet pig had no intention of stopping, but sniffed east and west with its big nose from time to time, as if looking for something. It stopped only when it came to a young man, raised his head, and looked up and down at the person with a scrutinizing look. The young man also noticed it, half squatted down, revealing a young and handsome face and medium-length black hair. It was Kainai. Kainai chuckled and picked it up. "You actually found me by smell. Did you recognize me?" The pet pig could obviously understand human language. After hearing Kainai's words, he confirmed that he was Chinatsu's father, and immediately danced with excitement. Puayao puayao puayao. At this time, the little girl following the pet pig ran over breathlessly. "Sorry, my pig has caused you trouble." The crisp voice was very pleasant, and a pair of lively big eyes looked at Kainai curiously. Kainai smiled slightly, put down the pet pig, and asked knowingly, "Is this your pet pig? What's your name?" For Kainai, who has the ability to observe, the conversation between Tsunade and Shizune just now naturally could not be hidden from his ears. Combined with the pet pig in front of him, and the girl's facial features, that are somewhat similar to his own, as well as the same hair color and pupils as Tsunade. Not surprisingly, this unbelievably cute little girl in front of him is a daughter of himself and Tsunade. The little girl picked up the pet pig. "This is my pig. Kyangsha can't tell you its name. Mom said that before someone asks you your name, you must let them tell you their name first." Hearing this, Kainai was stunned, and thought to himself, "Isn't this what I once said to Tsunade? It seems that Tsunade doesn't even know my name yet. But this little girl is quite strong. With such a small body, she can actually hold up a pet pig that weighs as much as she does." After a little hesitation, Kainai smiled and reported her name. "My name is Kainai, Kyangsha, and my name has the same character Kain as yours." Kyangsha was stunned for a moment and chuckled. "Really? It's such a coincidence. Wait, how did you know Kyangsha's name? Didn't you tell me just now?" Kainai twitched the corner of his mouth. It seems that the little girl has been following Tsunade in and out of various gambling houses in the past few years, and her brain is not very smart. PS. The third update. Please recommend and vote for the monthly ticket. Chapter 106. Cute daughter and angry wife. It seems so. Hearing this, the little girl finally reacted and looked at Kainai carefully with her big eyes. "Big brother, you are so handsome. Much more handsome than my father." Kainai was stunned. "Do you know who your father is?" Kyangsha shook her head, her pretty face showing a lonely expression. "I don't know. I have never seen my father, but my mother said that my father is an ugly monster. Because my father is too ugly, so my mother doesn't want him." "Then do you miss your father?" Kainai stroked Kyangsha's head distressedly, his heart full of guilt and pity. At this time, a couple walked by the side of the road. They were holding a little boy. In the laughter of the family of three, Kainai, Kyangsha, and Tantan, 2 people and 1 pig, walked by. Kyangsha looked at the little boy with envy, nodded heavily. "I miss Kainai." Felt a warm current flowing through his heart. Just when he wanted to reveal his identity, Kyangsha, who was holding Tantan opposite, suddenly cried. It immediately attracted the attention of a group of pedestrians around. Everyone pointed at Kainai and looked at him with contempt. "What's wrong with you, Kyangsha?" Kainai's face turned black. Was he considered a pervert who molested children? Kyangsha cried and shouted, Mom is lost. You lost yourself." Kainai complained in his heart, and the pig in his arms was crying from beginning to end. It wanted to tell Kyangsha that the young man in front of him was your father, and Tsunade-sama was not lost. It was you who lost yourself. It's a pity that the little girl didn't seem to have the talent of Tsunade and Shizune to understand pig talk. Or, she just kept crying. "Okay, don't cry. How about I take you to find your mother?" Kainai stroked his daughter's head and said softly. "But, Sister Shizune said that you can't just go with strangers." Kyangsha, stop crying. Then I'll stay here with you and wait for them. Kainai gently wiped Kyangsha's tears and said softly, yes. Thank you, big brother. Kyangsha nodded heavily. Kainai felt a pang in his heart, hesitated for a while, mustered up the courage, and asked, Kyangsha, what would you do if I were your father? As soon as the voice fell, Kyangsha burst into laughter. Big brother, you are really good at joking. I'm serious. Kainai said seriously. I don't want it. Kyangsha put down the pet pig, imitated the adults, folded her arms, and puffed up her cheeks. Why? Kainai was stunned. Was he disliked by his daughter? Big brother, come here. Kyangsha waved her little hand at Kainai. Kainai leaned over as he said, and she reminded him in a low voice, big brother, don't be fooled by my mother's beauty. I'll tell you a secret. In fact, she is already a 50-year-old old woman. And she is also very violent, and likes to drink and gamble. Don't be fooled. At this point, the little girl looked at Kainai carefully again, and her pretty face turned red, and she said in a mosquito-like voice, if you really want to find a girlfriend, you can wait for Kyangsha to grow up. Kainai twitched his mouth. What the hell is going on? Sorry, my lady has caused you trouble. The crisp voice came from far away. When the little girl heard this, her face suddenly showed joy. She turned around suddenly and waved her short hands immediately. Sister Jingayan, I'm here, I'm here. And Tunten took 2 steps at a time and rushed over like a fly, throwing herself into Jingayan's arms. Wearing a black and grey long coat and trousers, a fishnet tights, and blacky length hair. 4 years have passed, and Shizun's appearance has not changed at all, including her chest. Miss, why are you running around again? Shizun walked over helplessly with her pet pig in her arms. When she saw Kainai's appearance, she stood there in astonishment. Hey, Shizun, long time no see. Kainai raised his hand and greeted her. You are. Shizun was so scared that she took a step back. Her eyes widened, a blush quickly flew across her cheeks, and a nosebleed flowed from her philtrum. P.S. This is not an exaggeration. Refer to the part where Shizun and Tsunade had a nosebleed when they saw the photo of Dunzo when he was young. She could never have imagined that the boy who had had sex with Tsunade-sama because of drunkenness would suddenly appear. And now he has grown into a handsome man who is quite lethal to women. At this time, Shizun was at the intersection of the street. Tsunade walked over from the street beside Shizun, and seeing Shizun's exaggerated look, she said as she walked, what's wrong Shizun, you are making a fuss. Didn't I tell you to go to the hotel and pack up your things after you find Chinatsu? We have to leave Tansho Street immediately. Tsunade-sama, Shizun pointed at Kainai in astonishment. What do you mean by he? Tsunade turned her head away disapprovingly and was stunned for a moment, with an expression on her face that was even more exaggerated than Shizun's. Hey, Tsunade, long time no see. Kainai waved and greeted Tsunade in the same way. Why, big brother, do you know my mother and sister Shizun? Seeing this, Chinatsu on the side pulled Kainai's sleeve in confusion. Of course, we are more than acquainted. I'm still yours. Kainai nodded. Shizun, take Chinatsu back to the hotel first. I will go back later. However, before Kainai could finish his words, Tsunade stepped forward and grabbed his arm, leaving these words behind, and disappeared at the end of the street. Looking at the place where the two disappeared, Chinatsu turned her head to look at Shizun. Sister Shizun, what happened to them? This matter is quite troublesome to explain. I will tell you when Lady Tsunade comes back. Shizun sighed helplessly, thinking that things always felt more and more complicated. The pet pig in her arms seemed to understand Shizun's mood and echoed her. Tsunade dragged Kainai to the end of the alley away from the crowds in the downtown area, then stopped, crossed her arms, and asked directly, tell me, you bastard, why did you suddenly appear here? Kainai smiled slightly. Of course I came to find you. I didn't expect that we already have a daughter. Since we last met in Tansho Street, boom. The street wall behind Kainai was smashed by Tsunade's strange punch, and she roared, if you dare to mention the last time, I will kill you now. Then what do you say? It's done, and the child is born. That night was my first time. You can't not take responsibility. Kainai was fearless and his expression was still calm. Let me take responsibility? Tsunade was immediately amused. She had seen shameless people, but she had never seen such a shameless one. Not only did he take advantage of her so much, she also gave birth to a daughter for him. For several years, she raised her alone. She didn't let him take responsibility, but he turned out well. Instead, I have to take responsibility. Chapter 107, A Bet Between Husband and Wife. You bastard. With a roar, Tsunade used a pain kick, and the street ground instantly collapsed, and the surrounding houses collapsed. Kainai jumped back, and jumped out of the range of the pain kick. You were able to dodge. Tsunade's eyes flashed with surprise, and she looked up and down at Kainai again. When she saw the ninja boots on Kainai's feet, her eyes narrowed slightly without a trace. Of course, after returning, I soon learned your true identity. In order to match one of the legendary three ninjas, I have been practicing desperately in the past few years. Kainai said half truthfully. Interesting. Tsunade smiled and pointed at Kainai with her index finger. Okay, then let me see your awareness. If you can get my approval, I will admit that you are Chinatsu's father. Then what level do I have to go to in order to get your approval? Kainai looked indifferent. Looking at Kainai's calm face, Tsunade frowned slightly, because she found that Kainai's confidence did not seem to be pretended. At the same time, she recalled in her mind the night 4 years ago when this little kid, whose hair had not yet grown, galloped on his horse like a devil from hell, and her pretty face could not help but blush. After a little contemplation, Tsunade stretched out 3 fingers. 3 seconds? Kainai began to play the pig, and eat the tiger. Please have some ambition, okay? How can it be so simple? Tsunade's mouth twitched, and she added, 3 minutes. As long as you can hold on to me for 3 minutes, then, I will admit, that you are Chinatsu's father. What if I win? Kainai smiled and continued to ask, win me? Hearing this, Tsunade seemed to hear the best joke in the world. In this era, when the Akatsuki organization has not yet emerged, even the current 5 cages dare not boast that they can win her. What? Are you scared? Kainai used the trick of playing hard to get. As expected, Tsunade was immediately tricked after hearing this. Little devil, if you can really win, then I will hereby admit that you are my man, Tsunade, in the name of the 3 ninjas. Afterwards, whatever I do to you between husband and wife is fine. Kainai licked his lips. Yes, whatever you do to me between husband and wife is fine. Tsunade smacked her. Although Tsunade knew that Kainai was deliberately provoking her, but based on her confidence as a 3 ninja, she didn't believe that she would lose to a young boy. Even if she lost, Tsunade recalled the madness of that night in her mind, which seemed not bad. Then come on, Tsunade, you are destined to be mine tonight. Kainai smiled and challenged Tsunade. Don't be too arrogant. Tsunade shook her head violently, putting aside the distracting thoughts in her heart. Her bright brown eyes flashed. Her right fist suddenly raised, accompanied by a forward rush, and hit Kainai in the chest. Tsunade's movements were simple, without any fancy. Kainai was slightly surprised, because this was his first time fighting a pure physical ninja. The momentum of Tsunade's punch instantly reached its peak under the effect of strength and speed. It seems that as one of the 3 ninjas, although Tsunade is a medical ninja, she has extremely rich practical experience. Although Kainai showed no concern on the surface, he was not arrogant in secret. The Sharinganju was quietly running. At the moment, when Tsunade's fist fell, his right hand took the initiative and rushed forward. Tsunade's fist collided with Kainai's palm. Under the powerful impact of the strange power fist, cracks began to spread on the ground behind Kainai, and then it exploded with a bang. It's impossible that she actually took it. Tsunade's eyes were empty, her pupils trembled slightly, and she looked at everything in front of her with disbelief. Her strange power was actually caught. If she just dodged, she could understand it. Even if she took it with her fist, it would at most surprise her. After all, sometimes strength is not the factor that determines victory or defeat. But Kainai actually caught it, and it was barehanded. Doesn't this mean that the opponent's current strength is better than her strange power fist? Are you surprised? Suddenly, someone with more power than you appears. Kainai carefully felt the force of Tsunade's punch, and a faint smile suddenly appeared on his face. he found that he seemed to have overestimated Tsunade's strength or underestimated his current strength. With the force of Tsunade's punch just now, he easily caught it with less than 1/3 of his strength. "Who are you?" Tsunade jumped back and distanced herself from Kanai. If she just regarded Kanai as a young man, it was different now. Being able to catch her strange punch from the front, even the other two senin couldn't do it. Kanai said calmly, "I'm just an ordinary father and an ordinary husband. Of course, if you want to know, as long as you beat me, I will tell you everything, or I can tell you, after you really become my wife, although you are already my wife. Don't underestimate me." With a delicate shout, Tsunade regrouped and a painful kick fell from the sky. The street was in trouble again, completely unrecognizable, with smoke and dust everywhere. When the smoke and dust cleared, the result was just like the previous strange punch. The painful kick was easily caught by Kanai. How terrible. If that kick just now hit you, you would be a widow. Kanai kept blocking with his right arm, and his eyes scanned the arc of Tsunade's sunny face unscrupulously. It was blocked again, Tsunade exclaimed in her heart when she saw Kanai blocking her full strength attack with just one hand. Then she bent her left knee and stood up, and her toes popped out instantly, kicking Kanai's chin. Facing Tsunade's attack again, how could Kanai not be prepared? He raised his right palm, activated the Shiangangju, and took the initiative to block Tsunade's toes. You have enough strength, but your speed is too poor. You pursue powerful attacks blindly, but you can't hit anyone. This is your biggest weakness, Tsunade. Although you can break all laws with one force, if you meet someone who can match your strength and crush you with speed, then you will only lose. Kanai said calmly, with a very relaxed look. Humph, stop talking nonsense. Feeling the stinging pain on her toes, Tsunade also hit out with real fire, retracted her feet, and changed to fists, and attacked more fiercely. One punch after another, continuously. Kanai placed his hands behind his back and never fought back. He just used his observation color to perceive and constantly predict the offensive of Tsunade's fists and dodge. Don't hide if you have the ability. Tsunade's breathing was a little rapid. After all, she had not been in battle for a long time, and a burst of rapid attack took a lot of effort. PS. First update. Please recommend on monthly votes. Thanks to bookfriend **** 5571 right square bracket left square bracket funny. Everyone in the book review area is a talent. Deep into the forest cave for the 500 starting coins. Thanks to Bilius for the 1500 starting coins. Chapter 108. Has Tsunade's hemophobia been cured? Kanai said calmly, on the battlefield, no one will take the initiative to put their face on your fist. Tsunade taunted, are you still a man? You can't even beat a woman. Kanai taunted in return, you are still one of the 3 ninjas, and you can't even beat an unknown junior. Well, I'll let you hide. Taking advantage of Kanai's dodge, Tsunade jumped back several times in a row to increase the distance between the two. Biting her finger, Tsunade drew a bloody mark on her palm. Kanai was stunned. Isn't Tsunade afraid of blood? When did she get better? Tsunade quickly made seals with both hands, and just when she was about to perform the summoning technique, Kanai suddenly appeared in front of her. So fast. When? Tsunade exclaimed, gave up the seal, and unexpectedly punched Kanai in the eye. Since the two met, this pair of eyes has been staring at her Uzayangbu with lustful eyes, and Tsunade knows it. Let's deal with these lustful eyes first. She has a left hand, Kanai also has a left hand, and he was the last to strike. Tsunade's fist just fell into his palm. He grabbed it. Tsunade was unwilling to give up, so she clenched her right hand into a fist and fell again. Similarly, her right hand fell into Kanai's hand again. Kanai crossed his hands and grabbed Tsunade's hands. After a turn, Tsunade spun around in place. Although her hands were still held by Kanai, their postures changed. Tsunade's hands were crossed, and Kanai hugged her from behind. Tsunade, now both of your hands are held by me, what else do you have? Kanai felt the tenderness of a pair of soft pancreas in his hands, and his chest pressed closer to Tsunade's back, with a look of nostalgia on his face. But the battle continued until now, from beginning to end. She, one of the legendary three ninjas, was suppressed by Kainai, a rising star, and had long been angry and lost her mind. How could she care so much? She just wanted to beat him up urgently to vent her anger. He immediately raised his right leg, intending to perform the Tangshan kick, but unfortunately for Kainai, who had the observation haki, all of Tsunade's intentions were almost no secret. As soon as he raised his leg, he was caught by Kainai's legs and fell to the ground, their bodies entangled together. Tsunade tried to struggle, but Kainai pressed her tighter with his body. He inserted his left leg between Tsunade's legs and then closed his legs, and Tsunade could not escape. In the end, Kainai won the final duel, while Tsunade was exhausted. In the evening, Kainai took Tsunade's hand and walked towards the hotel where she was staying. Along the way, the two received a lot of attention from passers-by. Because Tsunade looked only in her 20s, the two of them did not feel like an old wife and a young husband when they walked together. It was more like a sister-brother relationship. But this was enough to make Tsunade feel very ashamed. Her cheeks flushed, and even her neck was smeared with a layer of pink. When they reached the stairs of the inn and there were no more outsiders around, Tsunade finally spoke. "Let me tell you in advance, don't be fooled by my young appearance. I'm actually 51 years old this year. I'm more than 30 years older than you. Kid, if you regret it now, it's not too late. What's there to regret? Marry a chicken, and follow the chicken. Marry a dog, and follow the dog. But you reminded me, this is for you." Kainai reached into his waist, pretended to grope for a while, and took out the pure gold ring that had been made long ago from the system warehouse. Gold. Tsunade's eyes lit up instantly, and she turned into Uchiha. She was still worried that she was short of money recently because of her gambling debts. Such a big gold ring should be worth a lot of money. Kainai was speechless, and with a slap, he slapped Tsunade on her buttocks. "What are you doing?" Tsunade shouted. "Just to wake you up from the city painting." Kainai asked back, "Did you just want to sell it for money and use it as gambling money? How? How is it possible?" Tsunade's cheeks flushed, and she turned her head away with guilt, and used her fingers to play with her long hair. "I knew it was like this." Kainai sighed lightly, holding Tsunade's left hand, put the ring on her ring finger, and said seriously, "Do you know what kind of ring this is? Isn't it just a wedding ring that a man and a woman exchange when they get married?" Tsunade raised her jade hand and looked up and down at the gold ring, and she was unusually proud. Of course it can't be that simple. Kainai looked around with his eyes, and after finding that no one was eavesdropping, he said seriously, "This is pure gold, a metal that can make people look young. Is it true?" Tsunade was suddenly shocked, with disbelief on her face. The young face is something that countless women pursue. Even Tsunade herself is no exception. If it really had such an effect, then even if she sold the necklace left by her grandfather, the first Hokage, she would not sell this pure gold ring. Let me tell you this, when I found this metal on an overseas island, someone had already tested it. After she put it on, she lived for 200 years, and until now, she still maintains the posture of a girl. Kainai concealed the property of pure gold that can cure diseases. He was worried that after Tsunade became Hokage, one day she would get excited and use the ring to cure people for the so-called will of fire. 200 years. Tsunade's throat rolled and swallowed hard. "Do you still want to use it to exchange for gambling money now?" Kainai asked with a smile. "No, only idiots would think about it." Tsunade looked up and down the ring again, rubbed it with her face, as if she had found a treasure, turned her eyes to Kainai, and suddenly asked, "By the way, you should have more rings like this, right? There are still a few." Kainai said nonsense seriously. In fact, he has hundreds of such rings. "Then put it on." Tsunade urged hurriedly. She didn't want her little man to become a greasy uncle in a few decades. Kainai's forehead was covered with black lines. "Please, I'm only 17 years old this year, still in the growth period, and men's bodies will not stop growing until they are 22 years old. Even if I want to wear it, it will take at least another 2 or 3 years. 17 years old?" Tsunade was shocked and lost her voice and looked at Kainai again with a look full of guilt. 17 years old? Doesn't that mean that this kid was only 13 years old 4 years ago? This Kayane chuckled. Don't care so much, as long as I have this ring. Hundreds of years later, the age difference of 30 years will be nothing. But then again, I once investigated you, and you seem to have suffered from hemophobia. How come you can suddenly perform psychic skills today? Kayane chuckled. Don't care so much, as long as I have this ring. Hundreds of years later, the age difference of 30 years will be nothing. But then again, I once investigated you, and you seem to have suffered from hemophobia. How come you can suddenly perform psychic skills today? PS. Second update. Please vote for recommendation and monthly ticket. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 109, Large-Scale Filial Daughter Scene. You've investigated very carefully. Tsunade's face showed a complex emotion, and the scene when she gave birth to Chinatsu emerged in her mind. After a moment of silence, she replied, maybe it was the birth of Chinatsu. After giving birth to her, my hemophobia no longer exists. That means your mental trauma was filled by Chinatsu, right? Kayane suddenly realized. He vaguely remembered that Tsunade suffered from hemophobia because of the death of her younger brother Naoki and Katodan, which caused great trauma to her mind. Until later, in the battle against Orochimaru and Kabuto, due to Naruto's selfless efforts, Tsunade saw the figures of Naoki and Katodan in Naruto, and thus overcame her hemophobia. Tsunade nodded slightly. Although she didn't know why Kayane knew so much, she didn't deny it. She asked, by the way, you bastard, it seems that you haven't told me your identity until now. Someone with your skills can never be an ordinary ninja. Didn't I tell you? Kayane played rogue. Now he just relied on the bet and tyrannical strength to make Tsunade accept him. He hasn't completely conquered her body and mind. If Tsunade knew that she had destroyed her teacher's family, I'm afraid this tiger woman would immediately put on her pants and ignore her. This matter needs to be done slowly. What do you think? Tsunade narrowed her eyes and stared at Kayane closely. It seems that there is really no. Kayane looked away guiltily, cleared his throat, and said seriously, my name is Kayane, the Knight in the Night, and the name of our daughter Kyangsha. Both have a Kyan character. He didn't say his full name, but only said his name in his previous life. Kayane? Tsunade thought about it, and found that, because she retired too early, she didn't have this person in her mind. Just when Tsunade wanted to ask more questions, the two had already walked to the hotel room and Kayane knocked on the door. The door opened, and a head popped out. It was Jingayan. She exclaimed, it's you. And Tsunade-sama, what's wrong with you two? She looked at the two people holding hands in astonishment, with an unbelievable light flashing in her eyes. Especially when she saw the ring on Tsunade's left ring finger. She was so surprised that her jaw almost dropped to the ground. Kayane smiled slightly. As you can see, your Tsunade-sama has agreed to marry me. Okay, stop talking nonsense. Let's go in quickly. Tsunade blushed and pushed Kayane into the room. Even her neck was smeared with a layer of pink. Tsunade booked a standard double room. Entering the room, Kayane and Tsunade saw Chinatsu lying on one of the beds teasing Tantan. The little girl happened to notice them, and her big round eyes lit up instantly. Ah, it's mom and big brother. As she spoke, the little girl flew over. Tsunade opened her arms. Good girl, my precious daughter. Just as she was about to catch her with joy, she found that it was Kayane who jumped into her arms. The whole person was instantly petrified on the spot. Big brother, my mother, that old woman, didn't hurt you, did she? Chinatsu whispered softly in Kayane's ear. Kayane's mouth twitched. By the way, is there a daughter in this world who calls her mother an old woman? Ahem. Kayane coughed lightly, holding his daughter, and turned to Tsunade, smiling. Tsunade, do you want to say it, or should I? Let me say it. Tsunade sighed helplessly, and said to Kyangsha, Kyangsha, do you still remember the father I told you about? Yeah. Although Kyangsha was puzzled, she nodded. Tsunade continued to ask, in fact, he is not ugly, and he was not driven away by me. In short, all this is quite complicated to explain. You just need to know that he is in front of you now. Kyanai is your biological father. Boom. Kyangsha was struck by lightning. Her little face turned pale. Her eyes instantly turned red. She raised her cute little face to look at Kyanai and asked weakly, "Big brother, is this true?" "It is indeed true, Kyangsha. I have not stayed with you and your daughter all these years. I'm sorry for you." Kyanai nodded. The little girl still didn't want to believe the fact and turned her eyes to Shizune. "Sister Shizune, is this true?" The family was reunited and Tsunade, who was over 50 years old, finally got married. Shizune was moved to tears. While wiping her tears, she replied, "It's true, miss. Although it was an accident at the beginning, he is indeed your biological father." After getting Shizune's confirmation, Chinatsu couldn't hold it back anymore and burst into tears. "Wow. Mom, you are a big bad guy." But her next thought process was very puzzling. It was Kyanai, as a father, who hadn't been with Chinatsu all these years. Why did she blame her mother Tsunade? In the room, the atmosphere that should have been sentimental suddenly began to become subtle. Kyanai, Tsunade, and Shizune looked at each other. Shizune walked up to Kyanai and asked Chinatsu in his arms hesitantly, whispering, "Miss, did you scold the wrong person just now?" "No, I was talking about Mom. Mom is a big bad guy," Chinatsu said with sobs and red eyes. "Why, baby, what did Mom do wrong?" Tsunade asked innocently. Kyanai also showed a puzzled expression. "Yes, it was me, your father, who was not with you all these years. Why do you blame your mother?" Because Kyangsha stopped crying, avoided Kyanai's gaze, and her little face flushed strangely. She said timidly, "Because if Big Brother becomes a father, when Kyangsha grows up, she won't be able to be Big Brother's girlfriend." Crack. Kyangsha's voice fell, and the ground under Tsunade's feet cracked instantly, and the cracks spread to the corners of the wall before stopping. She half lowered her head, her hair hung freely, and her eyes were covered by shadows. At this moment, Tsunade exuded a dangerous and tyrannical aura, and everyone knew it. This former Sanin, Tsunade, who was known as the Slug Princess, was going to be angry. "Tsunade-sama, calm down. Calm down. We really don't have any extra money to compensate the hotel." Shizune swallowed hard and said in a panic, "Shizune, take Chinatsu out first," Tsunade said in a deep voice. "Tsunade-sama." Shizune swallowed and wanted to say something, but was glared back by Tsunade's eyes full of tyranny. Tsunade said sternly, "Take her out quickly." Yes. Shizune looked at Kyanai with sympathy, then took Chinatsu from his arms and walked out of the room. The pet pig Tuten was also afraid of being affected by the disaster. He followed closely. PS. The third update. It's almost the end of the month. Please give me monthly tickets. If you get 1000 monthly tickets, I will finish the Meditarumi extra chapter in advance. There are 2 more updates. Please wait. The quality is too poor. It is being reset. Chapter 110 Kakashi and Kyuubi. The door slammed shut, and Tsunade's roar rang out from inside. "Asshole. What on earth did you do to our daughter?" As soon as the voice fell, Tsunade threw a punch with all her strength. "I didn't do anything." Kyanai dodged with an innocent look and turned his head to the side, holding her right wrist with his left hand. "Then why would she want to be the girlfriend of your asshole father? You bastard." Tsunade threw another punch. Kyanai also held her left wrist with his right hand. "I guess it's because I helped her catch the escaped pet pig." Kyanai also felt helpless. "How could my daughter fall in love with you asshole because of this? You must have done something to her." Tsunade was still angry and intended to perform the painful kick. The result was the same as the previous fight, and she was still clamped by Kyanai's legs. The two fell on the bed. "That's probably because of my damn charm." Kyanai sighed. "If you don't believe me, I'll prove it to you." "How do I prove it?" Tsunade was stunned, and then she saw Kyanai's aggressive and possessive eyes, and a trace of panic flashed in her eyes. "What do you want to do?" Kyanai smiled wickedly. "Tsunade, you don't want your daughter to see us without clothes, do you?" Half an hour later, Tsunade followed Kyanai with a flushed face, and the two walked out of the room. At this time, Shizune was already waiting outside, and was a little drowsy, and Chinatsu was not tired of bullying the pet pig. Hearing the sound of the door opening, Shizune opened her eyes in a daze. "Tsunade-sama. When she saw Kanai, Shizune was a little embarrassed. Speaking of which, she seemed to still not know what Kanai's name was. My name is Kanai, the Knight of the Night, only one character different from Chinatsu. Kanai? Shizune was stunned. She always felt like she had heard this name somewhere. The little girl at the side, seeing Kanai and the other two coming out, put down Tantan casually and flew into Kanai's arms. Big brother, didn't mom bully you? I've already said that you should call me dad. Don't be disrespectful. Kanai sighed helplessly. Then brother Kanai, didn't mom bully you? The little girl rubbed Kanai's face with her delicate little face. You did it on purpose. Kanai rolled his eyes, turned his gaze to Tsunade, and a smile of aftertaste appeared on his face. He chuckled and said, your mother didn't bully me. It's better to say that I bullied her. You bastard, don't lead my daughter astray. Before Kanai finished speaking, Tsunade snatched her daughter from Kanai's arms. You really think I'm a pervert? Kanai curled his lips and tilted his head to look in the direction of Konoha. I don't know how Hang is now. I'll go and see after the Chunin exam. Konoha Hospital. Yuhi Kurenoi, for this group of juniors, I have asked you to come here in your busy schedule. It is really too much trouble for you. But your medical ninjutsu is still so amazing. Now it has almost surpassed everyone in our hospital. The medical ninja instructor who is responsible for teaching the new medical ninjutsu looked at a dying fish, which became lively after receiving Yuhi Kurenoi's treatment, and couldn't help but admire it. No, it's nothing. After all, I was once a member of the medical department. Yuhi Kurenoi shook her head. As Yuhi Kurenoi said, she was also a member of the medical department. Even until 4 months ago, before she was specially recruited by the 3rd Hokage to serve as the teacher of the 8th team. She was still a member of the medical department. And it was she who took the initiative to transfer to the medical department. Although the reason she gave at the time was that the medical department lacked manpower and wanted to do her part for Konoha's medical cause. But the real reason was only known to her. It was because of Kanai. Kanai's situation was nothing more than two. One is that he really died in the Uchiha clan, and the extermination of Sarutobi and Shimura was framed. The second is that he pretended to be dead, but this means that Kanai is indeed very suspicious and is the real murderer of the extermination of Sarutobi and Shimura. Otherwise, why would he run away? Like these two situations, no matter which one is unacceptable to Yuhi Kurenoi. On the one hand, she hopes that the little kid who once took advantage of her drunkenness and confessed to her in a daze is not dead. On the other hand, she does not want Kanai to be the culprit of the extermination of Sarutobi and Shimura and become a traitor of Konoha. In these two contradictory mentalities, she chose to stay away from the front line. That is, to atone for the Konoha ninjas who might be killed by Kanai. At the same time, it is also an escape from reality. She cannot accept the news of Kanai's death. In this regard, Sarutobi heroes and other Konoha high-level officials are happy to see it happen. Although they trust Yuhi Kurenoi. But after all, Kurenoi Yuhi had taught Kanai for more than half a year. If she continued to be involved in confidential tasks, it would be inappropriate. It's getting late, so let's stop here today. Thank you for coming here to teach my group of unpromising students. The medical ninja smiled and said to Kurenoi Yuhi. Kurenoi Yuhi nodded slightly and turned to walk out of the hospital. Kakashi. As soon as she left the hospital, Kurenoi Yuhi bumped into Kakashi, who was coming home from shopping and preparing to cook dinner. Let's chat together. Kakashi sighed. Soon, the two came to a dumpling shop not far from the ninja school. Ever since he learned about Naruto's tragic experience from Kanai that year, I don't know when Kakashi has developed the habit of visiting Naruto here every once in a while. This habit continued until Naruto graduated. Until now, he would come here from time to time to see the intimate paradise and relax. Kakashi's Team 7 accepted a D-level mission this time, taking care of the ninja dog. In layman's terms, it is walking the dog. You've recently returned to the front line, and are you getting used to being a team leader? Kakashi looked at Naruto, who chose a large ninja dog to compete with Sasuke, and was dragged by the dog and slid on the ground. Kakashi smiled knowingly under his mask for a long time before he spoke. Yeah. Kurenoi nodded and followed Kakashi's line of sight. She also saw Naruto's embarrassed figure and couldn't help asking, "Are those little brats your students?" Yeah, if it weren't for them this time, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to come back for this mission in the Land of Waves, Kakashi replied. Hearing this, Konoha's eyes flashed with surprise. Why? Did you meet an opponent? Kakashi nodded slightly, and as always, he said in a lazy tone, yes, the former escaped ninja of the Hidden Mist Village, the demon's abuser, one of the 7 ninja swordsmen. In addition, he is also accompanied by an extremely rare ice shield ninja. PS. 4th update. Please recommend and monthly votes. Chapter 111. Class 8's Shock. PS. Wrong title. The shock of teammate. To be honest, this time, they did cause me a lot of trouble. Well, but these are not important anymore. At this point, Kakashi narrowed his exposed right eye, looked at Yuhi Konoha with a serious face, and asked in a low voice, "Do you still remember Fujiwara Chiya?" Yuhi Konoha covered her chest with her jade hand, lowered her head with a lonely look, and her beautiful eyes were full of hesitation and sadness. "Now that things have come to this, what's the point of you telling me these? He is dead." "No, he is still alive." Kakashi interrupted her. "How is this possible that you clearly..." Yuhi Konoha lost her voice in shock, and the jade hand covering her chest tightened, grabbing the ring that Chiya had left. A long-forgotten memory suddenly emerged in her mind. In a trance, she saw Chiya. That night, he left her such a ring before leaving. It turned out that he was really alive. But why did he leave without saying goodbye? Kakashi didn't know that his words would dispel the illusion that Chiya had left in Yuhi Konoha's mind. He continued, "Although I don't know how he did it, this time, I really saw him in person. Moreover, he used the same trick to deceive me again, making me mistakenly believe that the ice ninja next to his abuser was killed by me. In fact, it was just a shadow clone he cast an illusion on. Why didn't Chiya return to the village?" Yuhi Konoha asked the same question as Kakashi. She still didn't want to believe that Chiya was the murderer who slaughtered the Sarutobi clan and the Shimura clan. Kakashi sighed lightly. "I have asked him such a question before, but his answer may be beyond your imagination and even cognition, because the people and things involved are too big, and I can't tell you directly. But I can tell you directly, and with certainty, that Konoha has become a rebel ninja, and he himself has admitted the fact that he personally wiped out the Sarutobi clan and the Shimura clan. And he is not with Konoha, or to be more precise, with the Konoha high-level officials. He even wants to kill them as soon as possible. He is no longer the Konoha of the past, or it can be said that this has always been him, and we have never seen through him from beginning to end. Of course, this is not the worst. After all, there are many people who want to subvert Konoha, but those people can't do it. But Konoha is different. With his current strength, he does have the qualifications to subvert Konoha, and he seems to have joined a mysterious organization. Such a person is too dangerous for Konoha today. I hope that next time, if you see him again, you will be mentally prepared." Hearing this, Yuhi Konoha fell silent. Now she began to fall into a dilemma. On the one hand, there was Konoha, where she grew up and was determined to protect. On the other hand, there was the student she had been thinking about all the time, who she once thought was dead, and who even had a relationship with her that went beyond that of a master and a disciple. Just as Yuhi Konoha was struggling, 3 people came outside the store. They all looked like they were only 12 or 13 years old, 2 boys and 1 girl. No. To be more precise, it was 2 boys, 1 girl and 1 dog. Standing in the center was a boy wearing a gray and white fur coat in the middle of summer. There was a little white dog on his head, black vertical pupils, canine teeth spitting out, and red stripes on his face, full of wildness. Behind him on the left was the only female among the 3. She had short lavender hair, pure white eyes, and a beautiful appearance. She was dressed very conservatively. She didn't dare to look people in the eye, giving people the feeling of a very shy girl next door. As for the last person, he was a little ordinary. He had the least presence among the 3. His clothes were even more exaggerated than the previous 2, and almost his whole body was covered tightly by the robe. Even the eyes were covered by sunglasses. It gave people a sense of loneliness. These 3 people and 1 dog are the current members of the 8th team of Konoha Genin, Inozuka Kiba, Hyuga Hinata, Aburame Shino, and Inozuka Kiba's ninja beast, Akamaru. Teacher, and Kakashi is here too. I just heard you guys talking about Kai. Who is he? Inozuka Kiba walked into the dumpling shop with Hinata and Shino. Akamaru seemed to be very curious and barked a few times. Woof woof woof. Without waiting for Yuhi Kurenoi and Kakashi to speak, Aburame Shino, who had the least presence on the side, replied, Kai, full name Fujiwara Chiya. During the ninja school, he had excellent grades. In the 54th year of Konoha, he graduated from the ninja school 1 year ahead of schedule. Later, he became a genin and joined the team led by Kurenoi teacher at that time, which was the first generation of the 8th team. In the 54th year of Konoha, isn't that the year we just entered school? Kiba looked at Shino with some surprise. Hinata lowered her head, a trace of loneliness passed through her eyes. No one knew what she was thinking. Shino nodded and continued. After that, it took less than a year to pass the special exam set by the Hokage for him, skipping the Chunin and special Jonin, and became the first ninja in Konoha's history to be promoted to Jonin before the age of 12. How is it possible to be a Jonin before the age of 12? Kiba widened his eyes with disbelief on his face. Kakashi's eyes also flashed a trace of surprise, looking at Shino with some surprise, and asked, so what else do you know besides these? 1 year after becoming a Jonin, he was suspected of killing the Sarutobi clan and the Shimura clan, and became a Konoha S-level rebel ninja. Shino's words were shocking. S-level rebel ninja, 13 years old, and he also slaughtered the Sarutobi clan and the Shimura clan. At that time, he was almost the same as us. How did he do it? Hearing Shino's words, Kiba, who had always been fearless, felt fear for the first time in his life. It's not that he was afraid of Kainai's cruelty. After all, who hasn't killed a few people to become a ninja? What he feared was Kainai's strength and talent. Regardless of whether the other party's massacre of the Sarutobi clan and the Shimura clan was true or not, it was shocking enough that he was promoted to a Jonin at the age of less than 12. This made Kiba, who had always been very confident in his own strength and very conceited and determined to become Hokage, feel a great sense of gap. He immediately began to doubt his life. Even such a person didn't become a Hokage. Could he really do it? Ignoring Kiba's surprise, Kakashi narrowed his eyes slightly and continued to ask Shino, these are not things that a genin can know. Where did you hear it from? By observation, and this. Shino took out a ninja manual from his arms, which listed a series of Konoha or non-Konoha rebel ninjas. Among them, there are more than D level to S level. Kiba snatched the manual from Shino, opened it and looked at it, exclaiming, wow, there are so many powerful guys here. Uchiha. There are actually people from Sasuke's clan, and they are also S-rank rebels. PS. The 5th update. Please recommend and vote. Thanks to someone for the reward of 5,000 starting coins. Chapter 112. As Huzi is still as Huzi. Shino continued, when I was in the ninja school, when I first enrolled, I heard that some senior students were graduating early, so I took a look out of curiosity. Maybe it's because this person is special. I always feel that he is out of tune with everything around him, as if he is looking at everything around him from the perspective of another world, so I unconsciously pay a little more attention to him. In the following year, I often saw Fujiwara Chiya picking up a girl from the Uchiha family after school, and I also saw Fujiwara Chiya and teacher Han going to the village for missions. Until the news spread in the village that Fujiwara Chiya was promoted to Jonin, and finally, he seemed to have disappeared, and there was no news of him. It was not until I became a ninja and got this rebel ninja manual that I realized that he had become a rebel ninja. Kakashi took the ninja manual from Kiba's hand and flipped through it. He couldn't help but admire excellent observation and analytical skills. It seems that you are a very careful person in life, being able to pay attention to everything that ordinary people don't notice. If I could notice that something was wrong with Chiya at the time, then maybe many tragedies could have been avoided. At the end, Kakashi recalled the scene of him snatching the bell with Obito and Rin. At the beginning, because of his father's death, he had no sense of teamwork at all. He even didn't care about the lives of his companions. If Minato Namake's who was his teacher at the time, could see this and wake himself up earlier than Obito might not. Thinking of this, Kakashi smiled bitterly under the mask and stood up and said, "Teammate is the best team in tracking and exploration among all our teams. Kyuubi, it seems that you have indeed accepted a good student. Then, let's talk again when we have time." After speaking, Kakashi put the rebel ninja manual on the table, picked up the food he had bought earlier, and disappeared into the meatball shop. Kyuubi didn't speak from beginning to end, but just stroked the pure gold ring on her chest and fell into the memories of Kanai. "Teacher Hong, is this Fujiwara Chiya really that powerful? The one called Uchiha Izumi is fine. After all, he is from that family, but Fujiwara Chiya." Kiba took the manual on the table, still unwilling to believe that he would lose to a commoner who did not have any bloodline or secret techniques. "He is indeed very powerful." Kyuubi answered calmly, and there was no emotion on her face. Only Hinata felt the same way, because she saw the same look in Kyuubi's eyes as she did. She whispered in her heart, "Teacher Han, I guess you must not believe that Brother Chiya is a bad person." At this time, Naruto, who had just finished the task of walking the dog, saw Kiba and others rushing over. "Kiba, Hinata, Shino, what are you looking at?" Nabashi and Sakura followed slowly, but they did not have the idea of greeting teammate like Naruto did. Nabashi had just suffered a beating from society because of his mission in the Land of Waves not long ago and almost lost his life, so he was eager to improve himself. As a fangirl, Sakura wanted to be alone with the second pillar, and she wanted Naruto, the annoying guy, to leave as soon as possible. "What are we looking at? What does it have to do with you, the last one?" Kiba said with a light click of his tongue. His eyes rolled around, and then he seemed to think of something. He crossed his arms and said with a smug look on his face, "The Renegade Ninja Handbook. It lists the most powerful S-class renegade ninjas in the ninja world, one of whom was a member of the 8th team, that is, our teacher Han's disciple. How powerful is he? It's really powerful, but no matter how powerful it is, it's definitely not as good as my Chiya-san." Naruto nodded and took the ninja handbook while Kiba was not paying attention. "Hey, you guy, give it back to me." Kiba and Naruto began to fight for it. While the two were fighting, the handbook was slapped away by Kiba. It fell on the second pillar who happened to pass by. "Sasuke, be careful." Sakura's eyes lit up, and she wanted to play a beauty saves the hero. But who is Mizuyuzi? He is one of the four laughing Uchiha heroes and the Hokage King. He didn't wait for Sakura to make a move. He smiled and took the manual without even looking at it. "Sasuke, so handsome." Sakura's eyes lit up again, and this time there were 2 red hearts in her eyes. Including teammate, everyone in the field had black lines on their foreheads and was speechless. Sasuke was as cold as ever. He ignored Sakura and flipped open the Rebel Ninja manual. When he saw the wanted posters of Kaina and Uchiha Izumi, his face became colder, and his whole body was emitting a chill, which made Sakura shudder. At this time, Kiba came over. "Sasuke, by the way, there is also an Uchiha here. Do you know him?" "He is my brother," Sasuke replied coldly. Sakura, who was standing by, obviously had not realized the seriousness of the matter. In order to please Sasuke, she praised, "Sasuke's brother is really amazing. He was even written in the book. Stop talking nonsense. Sooner or later, I will kill him." Sasuke glared at Sakura fiercely and ignored this annoying guy. He walked straight to Kyuubi and pointed at Kaina in the ninja manual. He said coldly, "Was this guy your disciple?" "So what?" Kyuubi asked instead of answering. Her voice was a little cold. She didn't think it was necessary to talk to this kid. She stood up and was about to leave. "Wait." Sasuke wanted to chase him, but Kyuubi quickly formed seals with both hands and cast an illusion with her back to him. In Sasuke's eyes, he was trapped in a big tree, with only his head exposed, unable to move. What's the point of asking these questions now? Do you want to chase him down like those bounty ninjas? Kyuubi turned around, releasing a cold murderous intent that ordinary people could not detect towards him, and sneered. "No, I just want to know how strong this guy is. How does he compare to Uchiha Izumi?" Facing Kyuubi's gaze, Sasuke suddenly broke out in a cold sweat, and his voice unconsciously weakened, replaced by an inquiring tone. In his opinion, Kainai and his brother were both the initiators of the genocide back then, although they annihilated different families. But the two chose to start on the same day. There must be some connection between them. Kainai must know something. If he can't even defeat Kainai, how can he challenge Uchiha Itachi in the future? I have never fought with Uchiha Itachi, so I cannot give a direct answer to who is stronger or weaker between them. But what I can tell you is that Kainai is very strong. As early as when he was a genin, he learned all my ninjutsu and illusions and surpassed my teacher. Hearing that Sasuke was not going to kill Kainai, Yuhikuna's expression eased a little and removed the illusion for the former PS. First update, please recommend and vote for me. Chapter 113 Shinatsu's request. The family must be together. He learned all your ninjutsu and jinjutsu when he was a genin. Hey, Mr. Hung, is this true? Just now, Shino said that it took him less than a year to be promoted from genin to jonin. Doesn't this mean that he only took a year to master all your techniques? Kiba exclaimed. No, if you really count, it was 30 minutes to be exact, because he learned almost all the ninjutsu and jinjutsu I demonstrated to him after watching them once. At this point, Yuhikuna looked at Sasuke. Your Uchiha family Sharingan can copy physical techniques and non-bloodline limit ninjutsu by observing the flow of chakra. But it cannot copy jinjutsu, which means that his talent has surpassed your Uchiha clan. Damn it. Sasuke secretly clenched his teeth. Although he was reluctant to admit it, the fact that he could learn all of Yuhikuna's techniques just by watching them once was already beyond more than 99% of the Uchiha clan members who had Sharingan. Yuhikuna continued, and compared to me, I think it's more appropriate for you to ask your Kakashi teacher. After all, your Kakashi teacher was the one he assessed when he was promoted to jonin. At the same time, he was also the captain of your brother in the Enbu. As the two talked, Naruto was stunned and asked in confusion, who are you talking about? It's the Chianasan you just mentioned. Shino picked up the rebel ninja manual that Sasuke dropped on the ground, patted it lightly, brushed off the dust on it, and handed it to Naruto. P.S. Some people may complain about the homophony of Japanese, but it's too disgusting for a man to call the protagonist Chiya brother. Let's use bird language instead. Looking at the wanted poster of Chiya on it, Naruto showed a lonely expression on his face and fell into deep thought. After a while, Naruto suddenly clenched his right fist, raised it above his head, and said aloud something similar to what the original story of the second pillar said after his defection. I've decided. When I become the Hokage, I will target Chiana-san, beat him up, and bring him back to Konoha village. The crowd was suddenly shocked, and everyone had different expressions. The second pillar called Naruto an idiot, but there was a faint smile on his face that even he himself did not notice. Sakura and Kiba showed a rather aroused and disdainful look, thinking that Naruto was daydreaming. Only Kurenai and Hinata smiled knowingly, as if they had found like-minded friends. As for Shino, he quietly put away the rebel ninja manual, and no one knew what he was thinking. Okay, that's enough gossip. Kiba, Hinata, Shino, the Chunin exam will be in a week. I hope you don't slack off during this time. Leaving this sentence, Kurenai disappeared in the dumpling shop. Before leaving, she took a deep look at Naruto and thought to herself, is this the nine-tailed brat that Kainai often mentioned to me? He's really an interesting guy. Then she thought of Kainai again, and she was secretly annoyed. That bastard actually dared to pretend to be dead with her, and planted an illusion. If he dared to come back, she would make him taste the love from a teacher. Kainai didn't know that Yuhikunai's illusion was lifted in advance. Even if he knew, he would be a little surprised at most. Because at this moment, he was having his first family dinner with Tsunade and Shinatsu. In order to make room for the family of three, Shizune rarely came with them, and chose to stay in the hotel with Tantan. Ha 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 ha. After the meal, Kainai yawned 3 times in a row for no reason. What's wrong with you? Tsunade asked with some confusion. Kainai rubbed his slightly sour nose. Nothing. I guess it's some girl who's attracted to me again. I have this damn charm that has nowhere to go. Tsunade rolled her eyes at him. You are such a narcissistic guy. Kainai ignored Tsunade's complaints, picked up Kyangsha, kissed her cute and fair little face, and said with a smile, your mother said that daddy is narcissistic. Is daddy narcissistic? Not at all. Brother Kainai is very handsome. Kainai's intimacy made Kyangsha's big watery eyes bend into two shallow crescents, and she smiled. Kainai's mouth twitched. I think you'd better call me daddy. If that doesn't work, you can call me by my name. Kyangsha hesitated for a while, blinked her big watery eyes, and said softly, then, Kainai? For her, as long as she didn't call Kainai daddy, she could call him anything. Kainai was instantly overwhelmed by his daughter's cuteness, and hurriedly said, call me again. Oh no, call me 3 times. Kyangsha opened her little mouth, and called 3 times in a row, Kainai. Kainai Kainai. The crisp voice was very pleasant, and it felt like a cleansing of the soul, making people unconsciously fall into it. Tsunade on the side couldn't bear to watch it, and snatched her daughter from Kainai's arms, and shouted, okay, you perverted bastard, I've eaten, and I've accepted my daughter. Now it's getting late, go back. If you want to see my daughter, I'll go to the gambling house during the day, and you can take her anywhere to play, as long as you send her back to me before dark. Kainai was stunned. Where to go back? Of course I'm going back to where I came from. What, do you want to sleep with us? Tsunade answered. But as soon as she said this, she immediately regretted it, because she saw Kainai's aggressive eyes again. This damn bastard is simply an animal that can't be fed enough. He almost started to do it when he got the chance. I think this is a good idea. How can a couple sleep in separate rooms? Kainai shrugged slightly, walked to Tsunade, gently stroked the little head of Kyangsha in her arms, and smiled. Don't you think so, Kyangsha? Kainai's right. Kyangsha's eyes rolled around, and the scene of Kainai holding her to sleep appeared in her mind. Her pretty face instantly turned red, and she said to Tsunade pitifully, Mom, Kyangsha has never slept with Dad. Can you bear to see Kyangsha sad? At the end of the words, Kyangsha's eyes were even misty. It was as if you don't agree, I will cry for you. In order to sleep with Kainai, she also tried her best this time. Not only did she call Kainai dad for the first time, but she even squeezed out tears. This. Tsunade's eyes flashed with panic, and she tried to struggle desperately, but there are only 2 beds in the room, and your sister Shizuna's here. This is a bit inconvenient. It doesn't matter, we can get another room soon. Kainai's words directly blocked her escape route. You guy. Tsunade sighed lightly, thinking that with her daughter around, Kainai would not do anything reckless. PS. Second update. Please recommend and vote for me. 3 updates first, and I'm still working on the other 2. Thank you, Bailey Bookstore, for the reward of 346 starting coins, and thank you for the reward of 550 starting coins for protecting my umbrella. Chapter 114. Chinatsu is inside the door. Shizune is outside the door. Tsunade let out a long sigh and said seriously, let's make it clear in advance that you are not allowed to mess around at night. And the hotel's double suite can only sleep 2 people per bed, which means that tonight you can only sleep with Chinatsu. I'll sleep alone. Of course, of course. Kainai agreed readily. Anyway, there was only one night, and there would be plenty of opportunities after coaxing the little girl to sleep. At the same time, Kakashi, who was cooking, welcomed 3 special guests at home: Naruto, Sasuke, and Hiruno Sakura. Fujiwara Chiya. Why are you asking him? Kakashi added 3 new sets of bowls and chopsticks, and looked at the 3 people in some astonishment. The main course tonight is rice with salt grilled sori and miso sauce eggplant. Nothing, just curious. Sakura glanced at Sasuke inconspicuously, and smiled with lingering fear, because she had rashly praised Uchiha Itachi before, which caused Sasuke's dislike. She didn't dare to take sides easily at this moment. Naruto, on the other hand, was eating with great relish. Foods like sori and miso eggplant were not common for him. Sasuke ignored Naruto, who had turned into a foodie, and Sakura, who was a dog. He went straight to the point, and said to Kakashi, Yuhikyo said that you were in charge of Fujiwara Chiya's Jonin exam, and you were also the captain of Uchiha Itachi when he was in the Enbu. I want to know how strong they are. I want to know how big the gap is between me and them. Is that so? Kakashi suddenly realized, and his expression under the mask was still so lazy. Although I don't know why Kyuubi told you this, I can tell you for sure that both of them are probably stronger than me. How is it possible, Kakashi teacher? You are a famous copy ninja. Even that demon's abuser was defeated by you. No matter how powerful they are, it's impossible. Sakura exclaimed. There's nothing impossible about this. However, before she could finish her words, Kakashi's voice echoed in the ears of the 3 members of Team 7. Remember what I said in Wave Country. There are many people in this ninja world who are younger than you, but stronger than me. These 2 are one of them. And this was 4 or 5 years ago before they defected. To be honest, I don't know how strong they are now. At this point, Kakashi narrowed his eyes slightly. I guess during the mission in Wave Country, you were all very curious about the boy named Bei, who was hit by my Reikiri, but did not die, right? But at that time, everyone suddenly fell into a coma. Sasuke's pupils suddenly shrank, and he lost his voice in horror. Could it be? Kakashi nodded and said seriously, yes, it was an illusion. The Bei who was killed by me was impersonated by a shadow clone after Fujiwara Chiya cast an illusion, and Bei was rescued by him. Afterwards, he killed all of Kado's men almost in an instant with his shadow clone alone. When Kakashi mentioned Haku, Naruto stopped eating, half lowered his head, his eyes covered by shadows, and said in a low voice, in other words, Haku was saved by Chiya-no-san, right, Kakashi-sensei? Kakashi said solemnly, that's about it. The reason why I told you this is not to undermine your self-confidence, but to let you know how dangerous these 2 people are. If you meet them, don't conflict with them, run as far as you can. Otherwise, you will die. No, Kakashi-sensei, I don't think so. I have always believed that Chiya-no-san is a good person, and sooner or later, I will bring him back to the village. Naruto raised his head suddenly, hammered his chest with his right fist, and said in a deep voice, do what you say, this is my ninja way. You guy. Kakashi was speechless for a moment, feeling that all the things he said just now were just talking to a deaf ear. Then, let's eat first. Kakashi picked up his bowl and chopsticks, and looked at the dining table. His face suddenly darkened. Wow, there was not a single bite left on the 2 dishes. This kid ate them all. Naruto, you are so rude. How can you eat all the dishes? At least leave some for Sasuke. Seeing this, Sakura punched Naruto on the forehead. Sasuke secretly clenched his fists and began to doubt his life. He cursed in his heart, damn it. Even Kainai, that bastard, surpassed Kakashi at my age. What have I been doing all these years? On the other side, Kainai had come to Tsunade's double room. Tsunade had a single bed, and Kainai and Shinatsu shared a bed. It was early summer, the night was quiet, and people were asleep. In the quiet and peaceful atmosphere, outside the window, there were the sounds of insects chirping, and vaguely, you could hear the croaking of frogs from the rice fields in the distance. Tsunade turned sideways with her back to Kainai, her cheeks flushed, and she dared not fall asleep for a long time, as if she was afraid that Kainai would suddenly attack her, and she was nervous and expectant. Just like that, Kainai did not move until 1 o'clock in the morning. This made Tsunade begin to feel a little drowsy, and she couldn't help cursing in her heart. Damn, this bastard has become honest. And Kainai had already coaxed his daughter to sleep after several setbacks. The reason why he didn't take action for a long time was because of the system prompt that sounded in his mind earlier. Ding, congratulations to the host for triggering the system option 1. For 3 consecutive days, punish in front of Kyangsha, and reward Senzu Beans asterisk 10-2. For 3 consecutive days, Shizune is outside the door and Kyangsha is inside the door. Senzu Beans asterisk 20.3. Do nothing, it's worse than being a beast. Reward Viagra asterisk 99.99.99. At this time, in the guest room next to Shizune, Kainai's shadow clone was ready. At the moment, when the shadow clone knocked on the silent door, Tsunade was drowsy. Kainai walked down the bed, and also very carefully arranged a breath barrier around Kyangsha that could isolate the sound. Kainai carefully touched Tsunade's bed. Who is it? Sensing someone approaching from behind, Tsunade reacted with the instinct of a ninja. But before she could get up, Kainai had already appeared on the bed, covered her mouth with his hand, and made a shushing gesture, whispering, "Tsunade, it's me." At this time, Tsunade was lying flat, and she glanced at Kyangsha who was sleeping soundly, nodded slightly, and after Kyana let go, she whispered, "Don't mess around, Kyangsha is still sleeping. Don't worry, I have arranged a breath barrier around Kyangsha that can isolate the sound. She can't hear what we are doing." Kyana smiled mischievously and kissed her. The 4th chapter, Tsunade. Thousands of words are omitted here. Please vote for the monthly ticket. If you get 1,000 monthly tickets, I will do the extra PS. The 3rd update. Please recommend and vote for me. There are 2 more updates. Please wait until around 12 o'clock. Thanks to Bookfriend ***0376, Bookfriend *** 22,466 for the 500 starting coins reward. Chapter 115, Confessing to Tsunade, or Orochimaru's Purpose. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining Senzu Beans *20. For 3 consecutive days, Kyana and Tsunade lived in a life of Kyangsha is inside the door, Shizune is outside the door. Thanks to Kyana's hard work, Tsunade's complexion became more rosy and shiny, and the whole person became energetic. But Shizune was miserable. She was forced to eavesdrop every night, and the whole person became listless. It was not until the 4th day that Kyana's mission was finally completed, and she had a good sleep, and Kyana was finally about to leave. This night. What's wrong? You don't eat enough on weekdays, and today you actually took the initiative to stop. This is not like you. Tsunade was a little reluctant, and she found that she had completely fallen in love with this little man. Sometimes, she even had the idea that it would be nice to live like this forever. "I'm leaving tomorrow." Kyana suddenly spoke, and the room suddenly became quiet. Tsunade was silent for a while, then stood up and lay in Kyana's arms. "Where are you going?" "The Chunin exam will be held in a few days, and I need to go to Konoha." Kyana answered frankly. "Are you also a ninja from Konoha? It is said that women become stupid for 3 years after pregnancy. How can Tsunade's case be just 3 years?" At this moment, Tsunade was surprised, happy, and embarrassed. She was surprised that Konoha actually had such a powerful rising star. She was happy that Kyana was a Konoha ninja, so she would not have to worry about his background in the future. As for the shame, of course it was because of the generation and age difference between the two. Although the pure gold was there, the mere 30 years old could be ignored. But if the people in the same village, especially those old guys, knew about it, they would still feel very ashamed. But Kyana's next words directly shattered Tsunade's fantasy. "I used to be." Tsunade was suddenly shocked. "Are you a traitor?" Kyana nodded slowly, and did not deny it. The scene fell silent again. After a long while, Tsunade stared at Kyana with her bright brown eyes and suddenly asked, "Why?" Konoha White Fang committed suicide. The 3 ninjas left. The 4th Hokage and his wife died in battle. Hyuga Hisashi was sacrificed to sign a peace treaty with the Kyuubi, and the Uchiha clan was exterminated. Konoha's talents are fading. Except for Kakashi and another unknown might guy, the entire village can hardly produce a decent ninja, and only Sarutobi Hiruzen is left to brag about himself and give himself the title of the strongest Hokage of all generations. "Why do you think this is?" Kyana asked instead of answering. "TSK, those stupid old guys again." Hearing this, Tsunade knew the twists and turns in it, and cursed in a low voice, and then asked, "So what are you going to do in Konoha next?" "To witness the death of Sarutobi Hiruzen." Kyana answered calmly. "Just to witness?" After all, he was Sarutobi Hiruzen's disciple. Hearing that someone wanted to kill him, Tsunade's eyes suddenly flashed with a trace of pity. "Yes, just a witness. Originally, I thought I would kill a few people this time, but for your sake, I can choose to stop." Kyana replied calmly. "Can you tell me who wants to kill the 3rd generation?" Tsunade continued to ask. "You know this person, it's Orochimaru, who is known as one of the 3 ninjas like you. This time he will join forces with Tsunagakure to attack Konoha and implement the Konoha collapse plan." Kyana said seriously. "That bastard. This time I will go back with you." Tsunade heard this and was about to get up, but was pushed back by Kyana. "I advise you to give up. Because to some extent, Orochimaru is using extreme methods to save Konoha and break the current deadlock of Konoha. What does this mean? Tsunade asked, puzzled. Kanai sighed softly. Although that guy has evil intentions, his heart is full of greed, and he regards human life as worthless. He is also a perverted person who is more perverted than me. He is popular with both men and women. No matter whether the other party is a man or a woman, he will find ways to occupy the other party's body as long as he likes them. But as one of the three ninjas, you really don't understand that guy Orochimaru. Let me tell you this. First of all, it's the Sand Village side. Because Sand Village and Konoha have signed an alliance treaty, the daimyo of the Wind Country has entrusted more commissions to Konoha, the strongest ninja village among the 5 major countries, which has long been unworthy of its name. As a result, the income of Sand Village has shrunk significantly. As a result, it has to cut military spending. This has caused the ninjas of Sand Village to begin to resent Konoha. If this continues for a long time, it is only a matter of time before a war breaks out. And what about Konoha? The third generation has been doing stupid things over the years. He has been constantly compromising with the outside world and sacrificing the ninjas of his own village to obtain the so-called peace. If it were still just like this, it would be fine. At the very least, he can only be regarded as a cowardly Hokage at most. But he is extremely selfish. He keeps squeezing the big tree of Konoha, continuously delivering nutrients to his Sarutobi clan, and cultivating those boras of Konoha. This is also the main reason why Konoha has fallen from the first ninja village in the name of the first place. The destruction of the Uchiha clan is just a reflection of being transformed into nutrients and absorbed. Hearing this, Tsunade couldn't help but say with some doubts, but didn't the Sarutobi clan, the Shimura clan, and the Uchiha clan be destroyed 5 years ago? Of course, because the Sarutobi clan and the Shimura clan were destroyed by me. Kanai smiled. Tsunade's heart was immediately in turmoil. If it were usual, or if it was someone else, maybe she would turn against him on the spot and use a strange power punch to send him to death. But the target was the father of her child, her husband, and for a moment she was a little overwhelmed. Tsunade asked hesitantly, so, you are here to rid Konoha of the so-called pests you mentioned, and thus wipe out the Sarutobi and Shimura clans? I thought you would turn hostile on the spot and deny your promise. Kanai looked at Tsunade in his arms with some surprise. Stop talking nonsense and answer me quickly, Tsunade said coquettishly. Kanai shook his head, not entirely. Back then, the 2 old guys, the 3rd Hokage and Danzo, forced the Uchiha clan into a dead end, to the point where the government was forcing the people to revolt. The Uchiha clan is almost entirely mentally ill, and there are few with normal brains. The 2 old guys, the 3rd Hokage and Danzo, were playing the good cop and the bad cop, respectively, thinking in their hearts how to eliminate the Uchiha clan without wasting Konoha's strength, and causing all the major families in Konoha to feel insecure. Therefore, with the tacit approval of the 3rd Hokage, Danzo selected 2 people, and joined forces with outsiders, and decided to eradicate the Uchiha clan. Tsunade was shocked, and couldn't help asking, you mean, you are among those 2 people? P.S. The 4th update, please refund, please vote for the monthly ticket. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 116. Pregnancy makes one stupid for 3 years. Convincing Tsunade. Kanai nodded. One is me, and the other is Uchiha Itachi. Uchiha Itachi, that stupid guy, has been completely brainwashed by the 3rd generation. Then Danzo fooled him into exterminating the clan on the pretext of saving the life of his brother Uchiha Sasuke, and that idiot really did it. At that time, it happened that I also had a close friend in Uchiha, and Danzo used the same routine to threaten me. But he seemed a little too greedy and didn't intend to spare the life of my close friend, and gave Uchiha Itachi the task of killing both me and my close friend at the same time. I noticed the truth of the matter in advance, and I didn't intend to attack the Uchiha clan, so I didn't stop at one thing, and became a rebel ninja anyway, slaughtered the Sarutobi clan and the Shimura clan, and let the 2 old guys, the 3rd generation and Danzo, suffer the consequences. You guys are really vengeful. Tsunade's mouth twitched. For no reason, Tsunade's blood boiled. Originally, she should have been angry when she learned that the ninjas of the ninja village founded by her grandfather were massacred. But when she heard her man so happy to take revenge, she suddenly felt an extremely refreshing feeling in her heart. I have always been a person who takes revenge on the spot. Kanai smiled and asked, I have gone off topic. What was I talking about before? You just talked about the current situation of Konoha. Tsunade reminded. Kanai said and continued, then there is the current situation of Konoha, which is like a pool of stagnant water, blindly immersed in the short-lived false peace. Complacent with the status quo. If this continues, Konoha will sooner or later be destroyed by Sarutobi Hiruzen. Therefore, one of the purposes of Orochimaru's implementation of the Konoha collapse plan this time is to break this deadlock. Then there is no need to find ninjas from other villages. That will only benefit Tsunagakure for nothing and cause greater harm to Konoha in the future. Tsunade said angrily. Of course, so he planned to kill the Kazekage halfway, replace him, and then give blind orders. This way, he could get rid of the fourth Kazekage Rasa, who was the most hostile to Konoha, and minimize the losses. When the Sand Village found that the Kazekage had been replaced, they would return to the alliance with Konoha afterwards. He is really an awkward guy. He is bad, but not completely bad. He still has some attachment to Konoha. Kanai couldn't help complaining. How do you know so much? Tsunade looked Kanai up and down again, and found that she could not see through this little man more and more. Of course, because Rasa had a grudge against one of my companions. I took her to Orochimaru some time ago, and before coming to Tansho Street, I helped Orochimaru kill the boy. Kanai said with a smile. You guy. Tsunade secretly groaned in her heart. What kind of little man did she find? The Kazekage of one of the 5 great countries. She killed him just like that. Don't mind it. The next point is the key. Kanai said seriously. If we want to break the deadlock in Konoha, the key lies in Sarutobi Hiruzen. As long as Sarutobi Hiruzen is alive, Konoha will never be able to get out of its current predicament. And this, I'm afraid, will exactly what Sarutobi Hiruzen wants. You mean, the 3rd generation you, that Orochimaru wanted to kill him? Tsunade exclaimed. I guess we don't know now, but we will know soon. But he won't stop it. Kanai said, Sarutobi Hiruzen is old, and he has done too many stupid things. Instead of growing old like this, it is better for him to take away all the darkness he carries, and die as a hero protecting Konoha, just like the previous Hokage. In this way, at least he can leave a name before and after his death. I think Orochimaru should have a similar idea. The two of them will have a life and death battle between master and apprentice. As expected, the 3rd Hokage will end up dying in battle. This can be regarded as the last bit of master-disciple friendship between him and the 3rd Hokage. I think Jiraiya, who is also one of the 3 ninjas, should be very clear about this, so he will most likely not stop it. He will wait for Sarutobi Hiruzen and Orochimaru to decide the winner, and then he will take action to clean up the mess. Kanai briefly summarized the matter, based on the original Konoha collapse plan and the performance of Orochimaru, Jiraiya, and Sarutobi Hiruzen, the master and apprentice. He asked, so now, are you still going to join in the fun? After hearing Kanai's words, Tsunade fell into a brief silence again. After a moment, she shook her head and changed the topic. Just now you said that this was one of Orochimaru's purposes, so what is his other purpose? Kanai said disdainfully, what else can it be? He covets the body of Uchiha Itachi's younger brother, Sasuke. Ever since Orochimaru was killed instantly by Itachi's Sharingan, he has been crazy about this bloodline limit and wants to use Sasuke's hatred for the filial son who killed his father and mother. By killing the so-called strongest Hokage of all generations, he can show his powerful strength and thus abduct the 2nd pillar. Orochimaru lost to the brat of the Uchiha family? Tsunade instantly felt a sense of loneliness, that a new generation replaced the old. Then she thought of the little man lying in her arms, and she felt relieved. Then, she asked the question she was most concerned about. Kanai, what is your position? What if I say I want to destroy Konoha left by your grandfather? Kanai asked instead of answering, looking at Tsunade who was already fully mature in his arms with interest. You won't. You only hate those Konoha high-ranking officials, and you hate the whole family, including the Sarutobi and Shimura clans. You were born and raised in Konoha, so you would never go out of your way to do such a thankless job. Tsunade smiled. It seems that you are not big-breasted and brainless, but how could I coax you into bed so easily in the first place? Kanai scratched the back of his head. You still say? Tsunade glared at Kanai fiercely, and at the same time, she couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief in her heart. It seems that she didn't make a mistake. Otherwise, she would really be in a dilemma. On one side is the village left by her grandfather, and on the other side is her little man. No matter which one, she can't give up. Kanai has no hostility towards Konoha, which is a blessing in disguise. Kanai said seriously, then the question is, after the death of the third Hokage, the two old guys, Utane Koharu and Mito Kadoen, will nominate Jiraiya to be the Hokage. But Jiraiya is a person who can't sit still, so he will nominate you. What choice will you make? What do you want me to do? Tsunade threw the question back to Kanai. Kanai thought for a moment and said, I think you can go, because if Jiraiya doesn't want to be the Hokage, and you don't want to be the Hokage either, and Kakashi's strength is not enough to qualify, then the position of Hokage will probably fall to that old dog Danzo. Unless you don't mind me killing that old dog. Then if I become the Hokage and let you return to Konoha, will you go back? Tsunade showed an expectant look, and asked Kanai PS, the 5th update, please recommend and vote for me. Chapter 117 Pain's attention. No. Kanai refused without hesitation, and said solemnly, not only that, even if you become Hokage in the future, for you and our daughter, you must not tell anyone that you know me, not even Jiraiya. The waters of this ninja world are very deep, and I have come into contact with far more than you know. If the relationship between us is exposed, many people will die. Is it the end of us now? Even the strongest woman will have weaknesses. Hearing this, Tsunade's eyes were misty. Don't worry, everything will be over within 5 years. Moreover, during this period, I will often visit you and your daughter in Konoha. Kanai stroked Tsunade's face and said softly. Tsunade nodded slightly and leaned into Kanai's arms. At this moment, Tsunade no longer looked like the carefree strong woman she used to be. She looked more like a wife who was worried about her husband. She was so weak. This made Kanai sigh in his heart, the greatness of love. However, after spending so much energy, he finally got rid of this most troublesome woman in Hokage. On the morning of the second day, Kanai said goodbye to Tsunade and her daughter and their reluctant eyes. Before leaving, she left them a large sum of money. Of course, Kanai did not give it directly to Tsunade. Instead, she asked Shizune to keep it. She just asked Shizune to give Tsunade a sum of money every once in a while in the form of weekly supply. Otherwise, with the way this tiger woman squanders money, she will lose it all in a few days. Of course, as long as Tsunade does not increase the stakes, this money is enough for her to make. Back to the hotel where Yi Kang stayed, the two met again after more than a week. Kanai put on the Akatsuki robe and asked Yi Kang, how have you been during this period? Did you have fun? Well, it's okay. How about Lord Kanai? How is your ninjutsu training? Because of the mirror flower and water moon, although the two were in an ancient town, Yi Kang did not know that Kanai had been hanging out with Tsunade these days. It's going well. Thinking of Tsunade's taste, Kanai licked his lips with satisfaction. That tiger woman is simply killing me. It's just a little bit painful. So are we going to Konoha now? Yi Kang walked to Kanai's side and smoothed his wrinkled collar very considerately. Of course. Kanai smiled. Then what are your plans? Konoha's copy ninja Kakashi has seen our clothes. If we go in rashly, I'm afraid we will be besieged by Konoha ninjas. Yi Kang said hesitantly. At this moment, attraction suddenly emerged from the Torings. Kanai and Yi Kang looked at each other, and the two sat on the bed and entered the phantom state. In the dark and closed cave, a Zen lamp emitted a faint flame, and the illusory figures of 11 formal members of the Akatsuki organization appeared one after another. Recently, the gatherings are really frequent. Fieden spoke first, complained, and said very dissatisfiedly, "Shut up, Fieden, be careful or I will kill you." Kakuzu's pair of green eyes trembled, glared at Fieden fiercely, and scolded, "I told you to come and kill some." Fiden curled his lips and said nonchalantly. At this moment, Peen's phantom body appeared. He ignored the daily chattering immortal duo and turned his head to look at Kainai and asked, "How is the situation over there?" "It's going well. Luosha has been killed and is now planning to leave for Konoha." Kainai shrugged slightly. Hearing this, Deidara couldn't help but admire. "You are worthy of being brother Kainai. You can kill the Kazakage of one of the 5 great nations at will. It is really artistic. Well, if I have a chance in the future, I must try to kill a Kazakage like you and brother Scorpion." "Don't worry, there will be opportunities in the future." Kainai smiled. The human skin was given to Orochimaru, and he used it to pretend to be the 4th Kazakage to assassinate the 3rd. "I kept the body." At this point, Kainai turned his head and looked at Scorpion. "Scorpion, don't you like to collect the corpses of powerful ninjas to make human puppets? The corpses of ninjas with magnetic ninja bloodline are rare. I will give them to you later. You just need to make more toy puppets for my daughter." "I know." Scorpion's answer was very cold, without joy or sadness. "So what are your plans for sneaking into Konoha this time?" Peen continued to ask. Kainai said, "That's exactly what I'm going to say next. I plan to disguise myself and sneak into Konoha. Otherwise, leader, with our Akatsuki groups eye-catching and handsome Red Cloud and Black Robes, I'm afraid that, as soon as I enter Konoha, I will be surrounded by a group of Konoha ninjas. This is a special case involving the 1st generation Hokage. I allow you to take off your Akatsuki uniforms and act." Pain said. "However, the 1st generation Hokage's impure world reincarnation will be an extremely huge threat to our organization. If he is allowed to recover to his heyday, it will have a huge impact on the organization's future plans. So Kainai, your mission this time is not only to find out the news about Konoha's Jinchuriki, but also to ensure that the 1st generation Hokage's impure world reincarnation is completely dead, just like when you cut off Danzo's left arm and made him unable to recover. In addition, Orochimaru, who controls the impure world reincarnation, is also a huge threat. Although I also know that the disgusting guy is difficult to kill. If you have the chance, don't let him go." "No problem. I'm the best at stabbing people in the back. I'll act accordingly." Kainai smiled softly, thinking to himself, it seems that Obito will be restless after hearing that the 1st Hokage was released by the impure world reincarnation. "So, do you need any help from the organization on this trip?" Peen asked. Kainai said seriously, "This Chunin exam is jointly hosted by Konoha and Sand Village, and many small and medium-sized ninja villages have been invited, including the Hidden Rain village controlled by the leader. As for Orochimaru, he plans to use the method of peeling off human skin, disguise himself as a ninja from Kyusakage village, and sneak into Konoha in advance. I don't want to stick a dead person's skin on myself like Orochimaru did. In order to better monitor Orochimaru, I hope the organization can arrange an identity of a genin from the Hidden Rain village for me. Because of Hanzo, the ninjas of the Hidden Rain village still mostly cover their heads and faces. I think as long as I disguise myself, I will not be recognized. P.S. No transformation technique is used here, because ordinary transformation techniques are easily identified. As for the Mirror Flower and Water Moon, the protagonist has no chance to perform it on everyone in Konoha." Pain thought for a moment and said, "Okay, but there is one thing. You must ensure that the information that the Akatsuki organization came from the Rain Village will never be leaked. You can rest assured about this, leader. I will not act as a ninja from the Hidden Rain Village." Kainai chuckled. "P.S. First update, please recommend and vote for me. Chapter 118 The Strongest Trio, with the joining of filial son." Peen nodded slightly, looked around, thought for a moment, and spoke again. "Usually, the genin team is composed of 3 people. Kainai and Jikang are still one short of a team. Who of you is interested in this Chunin exam?" As soon as Peen said this, the crazy Deidara immediately raised his right hand and shouted loudly, "I'll go. I'll go." "Go away," Scorpion scolded. Kainai's mission this time is to eliminate the 1st generation Hokage who was reincarnated by the impure world reincarnation. According to your style of doing things, I'm afraid that Konoha will be blown to pieces before the Konoha collapse plan has even started. Brother Scorpion, how can you question my art? Deidara looked at Scorpion with some dissatisfaction. What kind of art is that thing of yours? Only eternal things are the most perfect. Scorpion sneered with the hoarse and low voice of the leech puppet. While the artistic duo was arguing, Itachi thought of the second pillar, was silent for a while, and finally spoke. I'll go. Deidara's ability is too conspicuous, and it's really not suitable for this trip. Then you can go. In the organization, apart from Deidara, you and Chiya are the youngest, and you are both from Konoha, so there is really no one more suitable than you. Pain ignored the artistic duo, and nodded to Itachi. Then this mission will be handed over to Chiya, Hakira, and Itachi. As for Kisame, he will be responsible for picking up the three of them. This mission is of great importance, and we must ensure that the first generation Hokage cannot be reborn again. After saying that, Pain lifted the illusion body technique. The other members of the Akatsuki organization also left one after another. After a while, in the dark and closed cave, there were only Chiya, Hakira, Itachi, and Kisame around the Zen lamp. Oh, I didn't expect to have the opportunity to cooperate with Mr. Chiya this time. It's really an honor. Kisame smiled at Chiya with a flattering smile. Same here. Kainai glanced at Itachi and Kisame without leaving a trace, thinking to himself, I never thought that these two guys would go to Konoha ahead of time because of me. It seems that the future plot will be completely different. I just don't know if Jizu and Kakashi can escape this beating. I guess they can't escape. Forget it. 3 days later, Kainai, Yikang, Uchiha Itachi, and Kisame met outside Konoha village. At this time, Itachi had changed into the ninja costume of the Hidden Rain village. There were several umbrellas and ninja tools commonly used by ninjas in the Hidden Rain village on his back. In order to hide his identity, he also wore a gas mask similar to Hanzo, which almost covered most of his face. In addition, the tear trough was covered with special cosmetics. The hairstyle was also changed. The ponytail tied by the red rope was untied and scattered on one side, giving people a feminine feeling. At first glance, it is almost difficult to recognize its original appearance. As for Kisame, since he didn't have to sneak into Konoha, he still wore a red cloud and black robe, the standard outfit of an Akatsuki member. He handed over 2 Rain Village ninja passes. Mr. Kainai, Miss Yikang, this is what the leader prepared for you. As long as you dress up like the ones in the photos, with these 2 ninja certificates, you can easily sneak into the Konoha examination room as a genin of the Rain Village. In addition, the leader also found 3 people with similar body shapes to you. I have killed them on the way here to cover up. When the Konoha collapse plan begins, even if your identities are exposed, the relationship between the organization and the Rain Village will not be exposed. You are really well prepared. Kainai took the pass, looked at it, and couldn't help but be a little stunned. It's not that the photo on the ninja pass is ugly, but it's too similar, like the second generation Sachikage, covered with bandages all over his body, revealing only a pair of eyes. It's not an exaggeration to say that it's a mummy. It's just that the logo on the ninja forehead is different. It seems that Obito has put a lot of thought into preventing the first generation from being impure again. Thank you for the compliment. I'll leave it to you 3 next. Kisame handed over 2 sets of Rain Village clothes while speaking. Soon, Kainai and Yikang changed into their clothes. After showing their pass, they walked into the gate of Konoha with a swagger. After nearly 5 years, I'm back here again. It's really nostalgic. Kainai stood in the front C position, and Yikang, out of respect for Kainai, would keep the staggered position with Kainai, no matter where he went. As for Obito, he looked like someone owed him money from the beginning to the end, and followed Kainai silently with a cold attitude. Master Kainai, what should we do next? Yikang glanced at Uchiha Itachi. She was obviously very displeased with this kind of person who killed his father and mother. She frowned slightly, and whispered to Kainai. There are still 3 days before the Chunin exam. Just go find a hotel to stay. But before that, it seems nice to meet some old friends. Kainai paused, looked back at Itachi, and said with a smile, I sensed the chakra of your stupid Itoto at 500 meters at 9 o'clock. Anyway, there is a hotel there. Do you want to stop by and take a look? Whatever you want. Uchiha Itachi heard this, and a trace of emotion flashed across his eyes, but he still answered very proudly, spitting out 2 words lightly. Really proud, obviously concerned about you, but pretending to be indifferent. Kainai complained and rushed to the direction where he sensed Naruto, Nezuzi, and Sakura. In addition to the three of them, Kainai also sensed 3 chakras that far exceeded the genin, and one of them exuded an aura that was very different from the Three Tails Jinchuriki. Not surprisingly, it was the Sand Village trio who clashed with Team 7 when they first appeared in the original work, Gaara and Temari, and Kankuro. In addition to these 6 people, there are 3 almost negligible chakras, one of which he is very familiar with. It is the fuse of this conflict, Konohamaru, who was castrated by him. The grey-black hawk keeps circling over Konoha, including Kakashi, Kyuubi, and Asuma Sarutobi. Some Konoha ninja leaders who received the news rushed to the Hokage building to recommend their students to participate in the Chunin exam. As former Konoha ninjas, Chiya and Itachi naturally knew that the hawk represented the Hokage's summons, but they didn't care too much. When the 3 of them arrived, the conflict had already begun, and Konohamaru accidentally bumped into Kankuro. "It hurts, you little brat." Kankuro carried the crow wrapped in a cloth on his back, grabbed Konohamaru's shirt, lifted him up in the air, and teased, "By the way, are you a boy or a girl? You wear men's clothes, but talk like a woman. Arsehole, I'll kill you." Gender is Konohamaru's reverse scale. Ever since he was castrated by Kainai when he was 3 years old, he has hated anyone who dared to question his gender. PS. Second update. Please recommend and monthly votes. Chapter 119. Chunin exam begins. Goodbye Team 7. If you can do it. Kankuro grinned with disdain on his face. Temari, who was standing by, knew the plan of Sand Village and Sound Ninja, and did not want to cause trouble. She sighed helplessly and advised, "Stop it, Kankuro, you will be scolded later." Kankuro didn't care. He was about to attack Konohamaru. Naruto on the opposite side shouted Konohamaru's name loudly and suddenly rushed over. As a result, Kankuro easily tripped Naruto by controlling the chakra line. Kainai, Itachi, and Yikang stood on the roof of a building not far away, watching everything below. When Itachi heard Konohamaru's name, he couldn't help but look at Kainai in surprise. "Didn't you wipe out the Sarutobi clan?" "Of course, but I'm not a devil. Just like you wiped out the Uchiha clan and left Sasuke, I also left survivors after destroying the Sarutobi clan, and there are more than one. The youngest son of the 3rd generation is still alive." Kainai chuckled. What's with Konohamaru's voice? And his physique seems to be weaker than that of an ordinary person. "Did you do anything to him?" Uchiha Itachi asked with a frown. "Nothing, just castrate him." The same is true for Sarutobi Asuma. Now, looking at the entire Sarutobi family, except for that old man Sarutobi Hiruzen, there is no man left. Kainai said shocking words with a harmless face. "This guy." Uchiha Itachi's mouth twitched fiercely under the gas mask, thinking to himself, why didn't I realize that this guy was a black-bellied guy before? While the two were talking, Sasuke had come out to save the situation. In a very pretentious way of appearance, he hit Kankuro's hand that was holding Konohamaru with a stone, saved him, and then appeared on the big tree, tossing stones leisurely, looking down from above. "What are you doing in someone else's village, bastards?" The moment he appeared, the cheeks of several people under the big tree suddenly turned red, among which Sakura became a fangirl in an instant, shouting loudly, "Sasuke, so handsome, your second pillar is still as pretentious as always." Kainai tilted his head to look at Itachi. Itachi did not answer, but the corners of his mouth under the mask pursed up involuntarily, thinking in his heart, "Sasuke, you have grown up, but it is not enough. Your hatred for me is not enough." At this time, Gaara finally appeared, and Yikang said with some surprise, "I didn't expect it to be them." "Why, do you know those little ghosts from Sand Village?" Kainai glanced at Gaara's three siblings and asked knowingly. "Well, the three of them are the children of Rata, the wine-style ninja Temari, the puppeteer Kankuro, and the panda-eyed boy carrying a good as a sandstorm Gaara, the ultimate weapon of the sand ninja." Yikang nodded and said solemnly. Kainai pretended to be surprised and said "Oh," and chuckled. "No wonder I felt a strange chakra from him. He is somewhat similar to the former 4th generation Mizukage 3-tailed Jinchuriki Yagura. It turns out that he is a 1-tailed Jinchuriki. This time I really hit the jackpot, encountering 2 Jinchuriki at once." "2 Jinchuriki?" Yikang was suddenly shocked. Do you mean that the nine-tailed Jinchuriki is also here? Yes, it's that yellow-haired kid. At this point, Kainai glanced at Daisaiozi inconspicuously. At this moment, Daisaiozi's face was so ugly that his two eyebrows were about to squeeze together. So should we arrest him? Now is the best opportunity, Yi Kang said hesitantly. No need. The leader said that we only need to investigate. We don't need to do such a thankless task. Let's go. Kainai shook his head, and in an instant, he jumped off the high platform of the building. Yes, Lord Kainai. Yi Kang responded respectfully and followed closely. After hearing Kainai's words, Uchiha Itachi followed. He couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. With Kainai's strength, if he took action, I'm afraid no one in the whole Konoha could stop him. Kainai and the other two walked past Gaara, Naruto, Sasuke and others calmly. Itachi glanced at Sasuke halfway and happened to meet the latter's eyes. Sasuke frowned slightly. Because of the change of appearance, he did not recognize Uchiha Itachi, but the strong sense of deja vu in his heart made him frown. He thought to himself, who are these guys? I didn't notice them until they walked by me. Damn it. Gaara, the strongest of the six, also noticed that Kainai and the other two were unusual and asked, what are your names? Kid, you don't deserve to know now. After saying this, Kainai and his three companions disappeared into the street. This guy seems to be worthy of being killed by me. Gaara laughed instead of getting angry, and Kankuro and Temari were sweating profusely, fearing that he would go berserk again. As evening approached, the sunset in the west, and the sunset in the west, contrasted with the major buildings of Konoha village, appearing particularly beautiful and magnificent. In a certain hotel, Kainai had already removed his disguise, changed into his regular clothes, and was ready to go out. What are you going to do? Uchiha Itachi, who was standing by the window with his arms folded, saw this, worried that Kainai would do something unfavorable to Konoha, frowned slightly, and asked in a deep voice. Don't look at me like that. I'm just going to see an old friend. Similarly, you can go see your second son. I won't stop you. As long as it doesn't affect this mission, many things can be turned a blind eye. Of course, if someone dares to leak the information, it will be different. After all, our mission this time is just to watch the battle. If someone leaks the information, I'm afraid that it won't just be the old man of the third generation who will die. Kainai glanced at Daisaiozi lightly. In order to prevent him from running to the third generation to inform, he warned him, and turned his head to look at Yi Kang. His tone instantly softened a lot and he whispered, Yi Kang, I'm going out first. I don't think I'll be back tonight. After that, Kainai disappeared in the room, leaving only Uchiha Itachi with a confused look. As for Yi Kang, he was no longer surprised. He just bowed to the place where Kainai disappeared, leaned against the wall with his arms folded, and closed his eyes to rest. Is he always like this? Uchiha Itachi asked hesitantly. Lord Kainai always has his own plans. I won't interfere too much. Well, if you want to go, go ahead. Don't disturb my sleep. Yi Kang waved his hand impatiently, never looking at Uchiha Itachi from beginning to end. Then I will be back tomorrow too. After a little hesitation, Uchiha Itachi left this sentence and disappeared in the room. Although he didn't intend to beat Uzuzi up right now, it would be good to see him more. PS. The third update. Please recommend on monthly votes. Thanks to Shui-chan for the reward of 1500 starting coins. Chapter 120, The Rider's Day. By the time the formalities for team 8 to take part in the Chunin exam were completed, it was almost dark. As usual, after returning home, Kyuubi took a bath and started her daily evening drink, and the side dish was her favorite wasabi octopus. Suddenly, a hand quietly snatched her wine glass. Why are you drinking again at night? Hangovers are not a good habit. A leisurely and pleasant voice sounded beside Kyuubi's ears. Kyuubi was startled suddenly, but after seeing who was coming, a look of joy suddenly appeared on her face. A simple grey suit gives people a cool feeling. Standard black hair, black pupils, fair skin, handsome face, about 1.8 meters tall, with a very well proportioned and slender figure. 5 years have passed. Kainai has grown up completely and is no longer the boy who only knows how to seduce people. The whole person looks more like a kind of worldly temperament, giving people a sense of maturity and stability. Zirihang recognized him as the young man she had been thinking about and exclaimed, "Kainai. Hang, long time no see." Kainai nodded slightly, shook the wine glass lightly, and was about to drink it, but Zirihang held his neck with a kunai. Kainai continued to shake the wine glass lightly, and a self-deprecating smile appeared on his face. "You are really heartless. After all, we are master and apprentice. We haven't seen each other for 5 years. I didn't expect you to draw swords as soon as you came." Zirihang's shoulders trembled slightly, and a trace of pain appeared in her eyes. She said coldly, "You should have become a rebel ninja, right?" Hearing this, Kainai immediately put on a stern face and said seriously, "Hang, have you changed?" "Why have I changed?" Zirihang was startled, and a trace of panic suddenly flashed across her autumn eyes that exuded painful emotions. Although the relationship between her and Kainai was not until Kainai left, it was a little more ambiguous from the previous master-apprentice relationship. But the precipitation of time has not diluted this feeling, but made Zirihang think a lot. She was surprised to find that she seemed to have completely fallen in love with this gifted little man. Sometimes, she even thought that in order not to embarrass him, she could try to accept the existence of Uchiha Izumi. This was impossible before. Later, when she learned from Kakashi that Kainai had sacrificed and was defined as an S-level traitor because of the suspicion of murdering the Sarutobi clan and the Shimura clan, she was once discouraged and felt that the whole sky had fallen down, and even had the idea of giving up her identity as a ninja. But she also knew that Konoha had just lost the 3 major families of Uchiha, Sarutobi, and Shimura, and it was the time to use people. It was impossible for her to resign as a senior ninja at this juncture. Therefore, she retreated to join the medical department and chose to stay away from the disputes of ninjas, intending to rely on time to heal the indelible sadness in her heart. It was not until Hinata, Kiba, and Shino graduated that she had to return to the front line under the sign of the 3rd generation of Hokage. Could it be that this little man has seen through the changes in her heart? Become more beautiful? Kainai said seriously. "You are so frivolous." Zirihang's pretty face turned red. She actually forgot that the little man in front of her had a flirting skill. "I'm serious. You may not be able to find it yourself. After all, you can see yourself in the mirror when you get up in the morning. But I'm different. I haven't seen you for almost 5 years, so I can find it," Kainai said firmly without changing his expression. "Really?" Zirihang's face was red, and even her neck was stained with a layer of pink. For a moment, she was overjoyed by Kainai's words. But she soon reacted, cleared her throat, and said seriously, "You haven't answered my question yet. It should be Kakashi who told you. That guy is really nosy." Kainai's smile on his face was restrained, and he did not deny it. "So, what are you going to do? Are you going to drive away the rebellion as a Konoha ninja, or clean up the house as a teacher?" Zirihang was speechless, lowered her head with a lonely look, and her eyes couldn't help but dim a little. At this moment, a system prompt sounded in Kainai's mind. "Congratulations to the host for triggering the system option 1. Seize a kunai, force the crossbow, reward Senzu beans * 10-2. Convince Yuhi kunai, reward armament haki. PS. The reward for Tsunade has been changed. 3. Do nothing. Turn around and run away. Worse than a beast. Reward Viagra * 99.99.99. Please choose." Hearing the system prompts in his mind, Kainai glanced at the kunai at his neck, and a glimmer of light suddenly flashed in his black eyes, and he immediately had an idea in his mind. He raised his face, took a step forward, let the kunai get closer to his neck, and tried to brew tears. The kunai was almost sticking to Kainai's neck, and Zirihang's pleasant voice sounded again, and the tone was much softer. "Kainai, you can tell me if you have any difficulties. No matter what happens, the teacher will face it with you, but you shouldn't do such a reckless thing as defecting from the village." Kainai slowly lowered his head and looked directly at Zirihang. Under the brewing of chakra, Zirihang saw a line of tears flowing down Kainai's right cheek. "No, you shouldn't do this, and I should die." Seeing Kainai, who was always indifferent and shameless when it came to teasing women, shedding tears, Zirihang became more and more flustered, and his shoulders trembled slightly. Sensing the change in Zirikuno's mood, Kainai secretly thought that something was going to happen. He tried to recall the demeanor of Zingai in A Chinese Odyssey in his mind and said touching and affectionate words. There was once a sincere love in front of me, but I didn't cherish it. When I lost it, I realized that it was too late to regret. This is the most painful thing in the world. As soon as these words fell, Zirikyono's hand holding the kunai began to tremble slightly, and her breathing became a little rapid. There was a faint flash of tears in her dark red beautiful eyes. Kainai was delighted, and he suppressed his shame, and said the words that Zizunbeo had said to Ziksha Fairy in the original A Chinese Odyssey. Cut your kunai on my throat. No more hesitation. If God can give me another chance, I will say 3 words to that girl. I love you. If I have to add a time limit to this love, I hope it will be 10,000 years. After that, Kainai slowly closed his eyes. Naruto is a world of spiritual and material scarcity. As soon as Kainai's dirty talk entered her ears, Yuhikyo could no longer hold back the kunai in her hand, and with a thud, it fell onto the wooden floor. She didn't even notice that the floor was pierced. Yuhikyo slowly closed her beautiful eyes, tilted her head slightly, and tried not to let the tears fall down her eyes. After a long while, she finally came to her senses, and looked at Kainai with a short breath. Her beautiful eyes full of affection and a hint of tears. Then why did you leave the village? And become a rebel ninja? PS. First update. Please recommend and vote for me. Thank you, Quasar, for the reward of 5,000 Kidian coins. Thank you, Bookfriend *** 1275, for the reward of 1,500 Kidian coins. Chapter 121 As Yuzi got beaten again. I can't tell you this. Kainai shook his head. A trace of resentment appeared in Zirahang's beautiful eyes, and she said coquettishly, "Were you making fun of me just now?" Hearing this, Kainai confirmed that Zirahang had completely fallen in love with him. He smiled slightly, put his right hand into her collar, and took out the necklace with a pure gold ring, and changed the topic. Just now, it seems that you still keep this ring. Do you remember the bet when we first met? I don't remember. Zirahang's pretty face blushed, and she turned her head to avoid Kainai's sight. When I grow up, I will date you. How could she not remember this sentence? But who knew at that time that the joke would become true today? Then I will recall it for you. Kainai picked up Zirahang in the form of a princess hug. What do you want to do? Zirahang vaguely sensed something, and her heart suddenly became flustered. I want. Kainai pursed his lips and smiled, and instantly hugged Zirahang, and entered the room. Not long after, the sound of beautiful music rang in the room. Chapter 5, Sunset Red. Thousands of words omitted here. Extra. 7th day on the shelf. Currently 5 days and 5 updates have been completed. 2 days left. After making up, I will continue to write the extra. The next morning, it was just dawn. Sunset Red's room was in a mess. Fishnet tights fragments, ninja bandages, scattered all over the floor, on the table, bed, door panels. All were traces of discussion. Sunset Red tiredly nestled in Kainai's arms, and the two of them were only covered with a quilt. Under the quilt, there was a large area of spring light. Looking at Sunset Red, who was more beautiful than yesterday, Kainai pursed his lips and gently played with her fluffy curly hair with his fingers. At this time, Zirahang woke up, looked at the naughty smile on Kainai's face, rolled her eyes at her unhappily, and said coquettishly, "You guy, are you born in the year of the dog? You don't know how to be gentle with women when you can't eat enough. That's because you are too charming, teacher." Kainai smiled, and he had eaten Zirahang completely, and he became more unscrupulous, joking, "Besides, I don't know who shouted last night. Don't stop. You still," said Zirahang's face instantly wrapped a trace of blush, opened her pearly teeth, and bit on the back of Kainai's hand, leaving a row of shallow teeth marks. The two of them played around for a while, and Zirahang's expression suddenly became serious, and suddenly asked, "Why did you come back to Konoha this time?" "There are 2 purposes," Kainai replied. "The first is to come to see you specially, and the second one I can't say." "Why?" Zirahang's eyes flashed with a touch of resentment and hesitation. "For Quan and also for you." Kainai gently hugged Zirahang into his arms and said frankly. Yuhikyo was suddenly startled. "Izumi is still alive. Well, I rescued her on the night of the extermination." Then I joined an organization. They provided me with protection, and I worked for them. Kainai nodded. So why did you come to Konoha this time? Yuhi asked with some concern. Don't worry, even for you, I won't kill anyone in Konoha. Kainai shamelessly said the same words to Tsunade that day, and then said, moreover, this time I came to Konoha. The mission was actually initiated by me to the organization, mainly to come and see you. Hearing this, Yuhi breathed a sigh of relief and a warm current flowed through her heart. She continued to ask, so how long will you stay in Konoha this time? Until the end of the Chunin exam. That is, we still have nearly 1.5 months of time to reminisce about the past. Kainai smiled. You guy. Not good. Yuhi naturally knew what 1.5 months meant. Her pretty face instantly turned red, and then she seemed to think of something. She didn't care about being shy, and hurriedly got up, walked to the closet, and fumbled for a while, and put on clothes under Kainai's gaze. What's the matter? Kainai asked casually, while lying flat on the bed with his hands crossed behind his neck. Yuhi put on a ninja forehead protector. Today is the Chunin exam. As the instructor of Team 8, I must be there. You guys just stay in the room. There's food in the refrigerator. Don't run around before I come back. After saying that, he hurried to the entrance, put on his ninja boots, and with a bang, he rushed out the door and disappeared into the room. You really don't admit it, after putting on your pants. Kainai curled his lips, stood up, walked to the mirror, and put on his clothes. Ding. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the armament haki. Is this armament haki? I didn't expect that the hardness surpassed Kakuzu's earth spear the first time I mastered it, and the consumption is also chakra. It seems that, in order to balance the power system, the system converts all the rewarded consumables into chakra. But it's more like a physical technique than a ninjutsu. This level of chakra consumption is negligible to me. Listening to the system prompt in his mind, Kainai raised his right hand, looked at his right fist, that was completely covered in black, murmured, and disappeared in the room. When Kainai rushed back to the hotel, Yikang and Daisaiozi were already ready, and waiting for a long time. But compared to the energetic Yikang, Daisaiozi was a little strange, his spirit was a little sluggish, and his eyes were slightly dark. Kainai changed into the ninja outfit of the Hidden Rain village and asked, I say, Itachi, you didn't spend the whole night watching the second pillar last night, did you? We should set off quickly. We've been waiting for you for so long. In 15 minutes, the registration deadline will come. Uchiha Itachi snorted coldly and turned his head away in a very arrogant manner. TSK. What a weird guy. Kainai sighed lightly and listened to Yikang beside him. By the way, Lord Kainai, what was it like when you first participated in the Chunin exam? Kainai shook his head. I didn't participate in the Chunin exam. At that time, the old guy of the third generation urgently needed to use me to achieve a certain goal, so he arranged a single exam for me in advance and promoted me directly to Jonin. If it was the Chunin exam, perhaps this Daisaiozi would know more. After all, he was the first person in Konoha to pass the Chunin exam. Okay, let's set off quickly. Itachi was worried that, if Kainai continued to talk, he would reveal some explosive information about Konoha. After leaving this sentence, he walked out of the room very impatiently. What an unromantic guy. Yikang complained, walked up to Kainai, and helped him straighten his clothes, and the two followed closely behind. Not long after, the two followed Daisaiozi to the registration place, which was also the examination room for the first round of the Chunin exam, and just happened to see Rock Lee beating up Uchiha Itachi. It seems that your Uchiha Itachi failed to show off, and got beaten again. Daisaiozi, oh no, acid rain. Kainai lazily lay on the corridor railing, glanced at Uchiha Itachi who was being beaten by Rock Lee, and looked at Uchiha Itachi with interest. PS. Second update. Please recommend and vote for me. Chapter 122 Itachi Nizushi, stepfather is worried. Acid Rain is the name of the identity that Uchiha Itachi is currently playing. The name of the Hidden Rain village is so strange that almost everyone's name has the word rain in it. Yikang's name is Xiaoyu. As for Kainai, his name is even more funny, called Hiding from the Rain. Uchiha Itachi glanced at Kaina lightly, without saying much, just quietly looking at the second pillar, secretly thinking in his heart, Sasuke, why are you still so weak? Is your hatred for me not enough? At this moment, Might Guy's psychic turtle suddenly rushed over and stopped Rock Lee, who was about to use the lotus flower on the second pillar. Then Might Guy made a brilliant appearance in an extremely coquettish way. First, he punched Rock Lee in the name of Rock Lee's misuse of the lotus flower, and then hugged him and sang praises to youth. The two grown men actually hugged each other and cried loudly. Seeing this, everyone in the field was speechless, and a group of black lines appeared on their foreheads. After Might Guy took Rock Lee away, Ye Kang finally couldn't hold it in anymore, and laughed with a twitch of his mouth. Your Konoha ninjas are really special. Don't underestimate this Might Guy. He is the only person in the current ninja world who has fully mastered the forbidden physical technique of the 8 Gates ninja. Kanai suppressed a laugh and said, but this image, is really funny. 8 Gates ninja? Ye Kang was suddenly shocked. Is it the forbidden technique that once defeated the first generation of the 7 ninja swordsmen? Well, this is only the effect performed by a genin. If it is performed by Might Guy, an elite jonin, I'm afraid no one in the entire ninja world can defeat him head on. Kainai replied, and then said, but we don't need to worry about this situation. Unless Konoha reaches a real life and death moment, he will not use it, because once it is used, it means death. But it can no longer be underestimated, because the 7 gates alone are enough to defeat more than half of the members of the organization. Ye Kang exclaimed, then this is really a scary guy. As they were talking, Naruto noticed them from a distance and shouted, ah, it's the bandaged guy and his friends. Have these guys been watching the show here? And they are so dismissive. They don't take me and Rock Lee seriously at all. Damn it. Sasuke also noticed the 3 people, secretly clenched his fists, gritted his teeth, and roared in incompetence in his heart. As for Sakura, she saw that Kainai and his friends were not easy to mess with, so she immediately locked Naruto's neck and apologized to Kainai and his friends. Sorry, my companion has some problems with his brain. Kainai's eyes flashed with disgust, which was for Sakura. Just as he was about to leave, the arrogant voice of Uzi suddenly sounded behind him. What's your name? The guy with bandages all over his body? Hearing this, Kainai replied with a very bad taste, I'm the stepfather hiding from the rain. Stepfather hiding from the rain, Uzi murmured, and his brows couldn't help but frowned. No matter how he listened, he felt uncomfortable. But he couldn't figure out what was wrong. He simply didn't think about it. Just as he was imagining that he would defend his family, like he did when facing Gaara, Kainai's voice echoed in his ears again. You are the orphan of the Uchiha family, Uchiha's second pillar, right? Asshole, my name is Uchiha Sasuke. The word second pillar reminded Sasuke of Kainai, so his tone was not very good. At the beginning, that guy called him second pillar whenever he met someone. Many people didn't even know his real name. He hated him the most. Kainai continued to tease, you can call me whatever you want, Uchiha's second pillar. I have to say, you are really weak. You have opened the Sharingan, but you can't even beat a kid who has no bloodline and no talent for ninjutsu. It seems that the Sharingan is just like this. Asshole. Hearing this, second pillar instantly became furious. Just as he was about to attack, Kainai suddenly appeared beside him and put his right hand on Sasuke's shoulder. Kainai used the speed equivalent to that of an ordinary Chunin. But this was enough to scare Nibiru. Faster than Rock Lee just now. Damn, when did he move to my side? Nibiru said in shock. I look forward to seeing you at the Chunin exam. Let's go. Kainai patted Nibiru on the shoulder, turned around and shouted to Itachi and Ye Kang, and rushed to the registration office. Ye Kang followed. Itachi looked at Nibiru deeply and followed closely. Only Nibiru, who was hit, and Naruto, who was at a loss, and Sakura, who was already frightened, were left. Naruto glanced at Nibiru. He rarely had a Hayek, and he saw Nibiru's loss. He comforted him with lame words. What? The Uchiha clan is not that good either. Shut up, I will definitely beat them next time. Nibiru's shoulders trembled slightly, half lowered his head, and half was covered by the shadow. Obviously defeated. Naruto glanced at his nephew again, gloating. TSK. Nibiru made a light TSK sound, his eyes trembling with anger. Naruto felt that it was almost time, and his expression began to become serious. He said solemnly, "Just now. Did you see the hand of the thick-browed man?" Nibiru was stunned. "What are you saying?" Naruto nodded. "That is a scar left by training, which means that the thick-browed man is practicing hard, more diligently than you. The same is true for the mummy bandage man. Just like the thick-browed man doesn't want people to see his hands, the reason why he is wrapped in bandages is definitely because he doesn't want people to see his body. Maybe the other party is practicing more diligently than the thick-browed man. It's that simple." Nibiru heard the implication of Naruto's words, and his fighting spirit was instantly ignited in his heart. He laughed. "Interesting. It seems that the Chunin exam is becoming more and more interesting." On the other side, Kanai and the other two had already arrived at the examination room and saw Kakashi from Team 7 waiting at the door. The three passed by Kakashi and pushed the door directly in. Kakashi was startled. A drop of cold sweat dripped down his forehead. He thought to himself, "What happened just now? Why did those three rain hiders give me such a palpitation?" At this moment, the three members of Team 7 rushed over, and Naruto shouted loudly, "Teacher Kakashi in the examination room." Itachi, who had already sat down, glanced in the direction of the gate and asked Kanai in a low voice, "Why do you have to do such unnecessary things? Isn't this what you want to do? In order to prevent you from being exposed and to beat the stupid Itoto well, I, the stepfather who is hiding from the rain, have been worried about you two brothers." Kanai spread his hands, speaking with a double meaning, and began to scan the surrounding genin inconspicuously. "Please, the third update. Please recommend and vote for the monthly ticket. The fourth and fifth updates are still being written. There will be one today. I fell asleep yesterday. Today is the 7th day. It was originally the last day with 5 updates, but there was no update yesterday. I will make up for it tomorrow." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 123, Many Little Strongmen Gather. Kanai glanced at other reference genin around him without a trace. First, a bunch of extras who didn't even have names were omitted. Rain Ninja and Taki Ninja were skipped directly. There are 2 Kyusagakure ninjas that you can pay a little attention to. One is Orochimaru, who is dressed as Kyusagakure ninja. The other is Karen, who has not yet become a power bank and has no bite marks on her body. In the previous life, because the early plot was too long ago, Kanai only remembered that Karen appeared in the Chunin exam, but forgot which village she came from. Therefore, he didn't run to save her. Now seeing the Kyusagakure village forehead protector, he suddenly remembered. It is estimated that her mother has been sucked dry by the Kyusagakure village. Later, he can consider throwing her to Tsunade for training. As for the future beatings suffered by the second pillar, without Karen as a power bank, whether he can resist it is not his concern. Anyway, she has the aura of the protagonist, and the old man Six Paths Sage will watch secretly. If it doesn't work, his stepfather can help appropriately. Then there are the 6 paths of Atoshi village and the sacrifices of the impure world reincarnation of the first and second Hokage, Kin and Saku. It must be said that Orochimaru is really enough to force the third Hokage to be stronger and give everyone the illusion that the third Hokage is the strongest Hokage of all generations. The strength that can be exerted by the impure world reincarnation is related to the sacrifice. The stronger the ninja, the more so. Whether the strength before life can be exerted depends almost on the strength of the sacrifice. Prepare 2 genin as sacrifices for the first and second Hokage, and use the immature impure world reincarnation to revive. No wonder it is so lame. Moreover, the 2 Hokage have no combat IQ under complete control. If it weren't for the impure world reincarnation body, I'm afraid I don't know how many times they would have been killed by the old man of the third Hokage. After the Atoshi, there are the Sand Ninjas. Chihai has already seen Gaara, Kankuro, and Temari, the 3 siblings, so there is nothing to worry about. Finally, only Konoha is left. At this moment, Team 7, where Naruto and Naruto are, has walked in. Eliminate Team 7. The only ones who can be named are Akimichi Choji, Yamana Kurino, Hyuga Niji, Rock Lee, Tenten, Aburame Shino, Inuzuka Kiba, Hyuga Hinata, and Kabuto. Among them, Chiya looked at Hinata, the little lolly, twice more, recalling those 2 winter days. When Chiya met this little lolly, Chiya's face under the bandage couldn't help but smile. Compared with the original work, although Hinata is still shy, Chiya can feel that she seems to have become much stronger. At least, she is not much weaker than Niji, who is also a member of the Hyuga clan. It seems that this little girl seems to have really changed. Perhaps it is a sense of the dark. Hinata noticed Chiya who was looking at her, and when Chiya retracted her gaze, she turned her head and looked over. A trace of throbbing flashed in her heart, and she said in confusion, "Why is that rain ninja looking at me? I don't seem to know him." Orochimaru and Kabuto also noticed Chiya's gaze. As an old acquaintance, the two recognized Kainai at a glance, and looked at each other in shock, with a solemn look in their eyes. Orochimaru, disguised as a Kusanagi, sat behind Kainai, and the two of them stood back to back. I didn't expect Kainai to really come. I guess this lady here should be Ms. Yikang. I wonder who this is. Orochimaru looked at Itachi from the corner of his eye. Unlike the usual low and hoarse voice, his voice was a little sharp, and it was actually a woman's voice. Kainai knew that Orochimaru was now in the body of a female ninja. He estimated that this voice was the original voice of the female ninja. Uchiha Itachi, who was standing by, naturally recognized Kabuto and Orochimaru, but he did not reveal his thoughts, but just lowered his head with his arms folded, so that Orochimaru could not distinguish. Seeing this, Kainai felt that there was no need to reveal it to Orochimaru, and just said lightly, "It's just a new intern. The leader asked me to bring him here to see the world." Kainai also changed his voice, and became a little low. "Internship is really interesting." A trace of suspicion flashed across Orochimaru's eyes, and he asked with interest, "So, Kainai-kun, why did you come here? To take this boring exam? Aren't you here to take it too?" Kainai asked instead of answering. "I came here to test whether Sasuke is qualified to be my container. I believe Kainai-kun will not violate the agreement." Orochimaru answered frankly, knowing that he could not hide it from Kainai. As soon as he said this, Kainai's observation haki clearly sensed Itachi's emotion, smiled, and said calmly, "It's up to you. Just don't hurt the life of the Jinchuriki." While the two were talking in a low voice, Naruto, the most restless person in the examination room, couldn't stand the depressing atmosphere in the examination room, raised his right hand above his head, pointed at everyone in the examination room, and shouted, "I'm Uzumaki Naruto, and I will never lose to you. Do you understand?" As soon as these words came out, the huge examination room exploded instantly. Everyone expressed hostility and ridicule towards Naruto. Then, the podium in the examination room exploded with a bang, and a cloud of smoke appeared. A group of Konoha examiners, led by Marino Ibiki, made a brilliant appearance. The first round of the Chunin exam officially began. The first round of the exam was difficult, but also simple. There were 9 very difficult competition questions. You could not cheat in a clumsy way. You had to cheat without the knowledge of the invigilator and the third party. There were 2 Chunins who knew the answers and wrote the correct answers. If you were caught 5 times, you would be eliminated. It tested the criminal investigation ability or basic ability of the genin. It was okay to do it without copying. There was one additional question, to test the team cohesion of the genin. Those who did not give up could pass, including Uchiha Itachi. Everyone in the field either copied or wrote by themselves. Only Kainai, Yikang, and Naruto did not write. Yikang was, because Kainai greeted her in advance, while Naruto simply did not know anything. In the end, encouraged by Naruto's social awesomeness, he faced the additional question test of Marino Ibiki. Many people were left behind in the first round of the exam. It's just that on the basis of the original number of people who passed. 26 groups, 78 people, there are 3 more people. Kainai, I'm the examiner of the second round of exams. Utera Shianko, come with me, juniors. However, before everyone could be happy, a black package broke into the classroom through the window outside and turned into a curtain that was fixed on the podium of the examination room. Utera Shianko appeared in an extremely exaggerated way. Everyone in the field looked at Uterashi Anko, and they were speechless. Kainai was the same. But he was not speechless about the way Anko appeared. He was speechless about Anko's image. The fluffy lavendery length short hair was tied into a loose ponytail. The face was sweet and slightly second year. The flesh-colored fishnet tights showed the hot body, and a beige windbreaker was put on the outside, which looked very heroic. Kainai didn't know how such a beautiful woman could turn into a fat aunt in Boruto. PS. The fourth update. Please recommend on monthly votes. Chapter 124. The filial son stood up. As a senior beauty lover, he couldn't even get interested in her. Not to mention triggering the system option. Boruto is not Naruto. Boruto is not Naruto. Kainai shook his head vigorously and said silently in his heart. Not long after, everyone came to the second examination room, the Death Forest. Because the Death Forest requires each other to snatch the scroll. Fighting means death. So half an hour was given for all the participating candidates to consider whether to sign the life and death agreement. Sitting on the boulder, Uchiha Izumi signed the words acid rain with his unfavorable left hand, then glanced at Kainai in the distance and said indifferently, "What kind of deal do you have with Orochimaru?" Kainai signed the words hiding from the rain casually, controlled the pencil to rotate between his fingers, and joked, "Does this have anything to do with you? Why, are you worried that Orochimaru will harm your second pillar?" "No, Sasuke has nothing to do with me, but you have a relationship with Orochimaru. If you don't make it clear, I seriously suspect that you are suspected of betraying the organization. You can tell the leader at any time." Uchiha Izumi stood up and stared at Kainai coldly, and his eyes and three Magatama quietly opened. The crumpled life and death statement showed that he was not calm at the moment. "Why are you going to turn against me here? I should have told you that you don't have a second chance to attack me." Kainai narrowed his eyes slightly, and Yi Kang saw that the two were on the verge of a fight, and immediately stood beside Kainai and united his camp with him. "Be ready." Hearing this, Uchiha Izumi did not answer, but opened the three Magatama into a kaleidoscope state to show his attitude. At this moment, a crisp voice came from far away. "Hey, what are you guys doing? No private fighting before the exam starts." Not far behind Uchiha Izumi, Yuhi walked slowly towards him. Kainai was a little speechless. It seemed that his teacher, who had just been despised by the jockey, had seen the exam list and then recognized his disguise with foresight. "Nothing, just a joke between us." Kainai smiled awkwardly and walked towards Kyuubi. When he brushed past Daisaozi, he whispered, "The deal between me and Orochimaru is that he provides me with information about the fourth Kazekage, and the condition is that before the Konoha collapse plan begins, I will not interfere with any of his actions. It's that simple, believe it or not." As he spoke, Kainai walked towards Yuhi. Daisaozi heard this and then put away his Sharingan, tilted his head to look at Yuhi with a hint of surprise in his eyes, because he didn't expect that the one who came over would be Kainai's former teacher. "Yuhi, you guy, you really make me worry," Yuhi said in a low voice, and at the same time, he did not forget to pretend to warn loudly, "Be careful next time, and the two over there too. I'm very sorry. Try to be careful next time." Kainai scratched the back of his head, blinked his right eye at Yuhi and apologized loudly. "Then you be careful. One of my students is also in there, and one of them is a little girl from the Hyuga family. If they are in danger of life, you help them secretly," Yuhi said in a low voice. "Don't worry, don't you still trust your man?" Kainai responded in a voice that only the two of them could hear. Even if the other party didn't say it, the child bride, no, little Hinata. Once little Hinata was in danger, how could he not help? "Don't do it again." Zahihan rolled her eyes at Kainai in anger, warned him loudly as a symbol, nodded, and turned away. After Zahihan left, Yi Kang came over and asked in surprise, "Master Kainai, do you know that female ninja?" "Yes, she is my teacher." Kainai nodded and did not deny it. Yi Kang suddenly realized and thought, no wonder Master Kainai, who was always strong in the past, would choose to compromise today. It seems that this Konoha Jonin occupies a high position in Master Kainai's heart. Half an hour passed in a flash. Everyone handed in their life and death tickets and received their own scrolls. There are two types of scrolls, scrolls of heaven and scrolls of earth. The original content of the exam was that there were 13 scrolls of heaven and 13 scrolls of earth, which were randomly divided into 26 groups. Each group got a pair of scrolls of heaven and earth, and reached the destination through the death forest within 5 days to pass. But because of the addition of Kyuubi and the other two, there was an extra set of scrolls of heaven. Kyuubi's group received the extra days. The examiner of the second examination room, Mitera Shianko, saw that all 20 groups were present, nodded with satisfaction, and said loudly, "Not bad, you are quite brave. All 27 groups of 81 people are here, but don't be complacent, because there are only 13 scroll pairings, which means that at least 42 of you will be eliminated. Come on, trash." As soon as the voice fell, a total of 27 groups of candidates were led by the heads of the examination rooms to various entrances, and entered the death forest. As soon as they entered the death forest, Daisaozi had the idea of looking for Ursuzi. Seeing this, Kyuubi narrowed his eyes slightly, and reminded in a cold voice, "I know you want to find your stupid Itoto, but I need to remind you that the reason you were able to easily defeat Orochimaru last time was because that idiot Orochimaru did not guard against your Sharingan. If you fight with Orochimaru, you will definitely make a big noise. If you force him to use the impure world reincarnation here, you should understand the consequences. In other words, unless the second pillar is at the moment of life and death, you can't take action." Hearing this, Itachi glanced at Kyuubi lightly, and disappeared on the spot. "Master Kyuubi, what should we do next?" Yikang walked in front of Kyuubi. "Don't worry about that guy." Kyuubi released his observation color to sense the surroundings. Except for their group, the whereabouts of the 26 groups totaling 78 people were nowhere to be hidden. "Go and grab a scroll first." Kyuubi focused on Sasuke's group, Karin's group, and Hinata's group. With his right hand, he formed a seal and split into 2 shadow clones. One is to let him go to Karin, secretly follow her, and then at the appropriate time, help and save Karin. After all, it is to find a successor for Tsunade, and Karin is much better than Sakura. As for whether Sakura can become Tsunade's apprentice in the future, it depends on her luck. The other one goes to Hinata's group. Although the original work is safe and sound, it is still unknown whether there will be a butterfly effect because of his intervention. It is harmless to send a shadow clone over. As for Kyuubi himself, he and Yikang rushed to the direction of Nejiru, to see Nejiru get beaten, and to prevent Uchiha Itachi from doing anything beyond the plan. With his powerful perception ability, it is too easy for him to find Nejiru and the others. If he encounters an unlucky guy on the way, he can just grab the scroll. PS. The 5th update. Please recommend and vote for the monthly ticket. Chapter 125, the beginning of the 3rd generation Danzo's disaster. A corner of the death forest. Behind 2 big trees, 2 heads popped out, 1 male and 1 female. The male had black hair tied into a strange broom head, and the female had blonde hair with a cute ponytail on her head. Her bangs covered the right half of her forehead. They both looked about 12 or 13 years old. The 2 carefully arranged the warning silk thread. Once an enemy approached, the bells hanging on the silk thread would ring. They could also hide at the first time. Behind them was a fat boy of the same age as them, with a strange horn hairstyle. Compared with the vigilance of the first 2, the latter simply took out potato chips from his portable ninja bag, and started eating them. They were the new generation of pig, deer, and butterfly, Yamana Kurino, Nara Shikamaru, and Akimichi Choji. "What are you doing, Choji?" Seeing that Choji started eating without any precautions, Ino walked to his side, and couldn't help complaining. "Wait a moment, I don't know why I'm hungry." Choji grabbed the potato chips, and stuffed them into his mouth in big mouthfuls. "What did you say suddenly? It's less than 5 minutes before the exam starts," Ino said helplessly. At this moment, the alarm bells set up around the place suddenly rang. "Ino, hide." Shikamaru frowned and pulled Choji into the bushes. Ino followed closely. A moment later, footsteps were heard, and at the same time, a clear and moving female voice was heard. "Kyono, Master Hidden Rain, aren't you going to look for that Uchiha boy?" As soon as the voice fell, a man and a woman came over. The man was wrapped in bandages all over his body, and the woman covered her head. Both of them wore a ninja forehead protectors. They were the disguised Kyuubi and Yikang. Shikamaru, they seem to be looking for Sasuke. Were they the ones who triggered the alarm just now? Ino asked in a low voice. No, not really. Shikamaru shook his head and frowned, thinking to himself, I didn't expect it would be these two troublesome guys. It's not good. As one of the few people in Hokage with an IQ of more than 200, Shikamaru naturally observed his opponents secretly before the second round of exams. In his mind, Kainai's group of three, the three sand ninjas Gaara, Niji and even the three sound ninjas were all extremely dangerous. Especially Kainai and Gaara. It simply gave him a creepy feeling. He had only experienced this situation with those Jonin. Kainai glanced at the three people hiding in the bushes and pursed his lips. It's still early now, it's not too late to find a scroll first. Yi Kang also noticed Ino Shikacho and chuckled. Lord Duayu, it seems that the scroll has been found. Ino Shikacho and the other two were shocked, and a trace of cold sweat broke out on their foreheads. Shikamaru secretly groaned in his heart. Is it the end? Suddenly, three Kyune suddenly shot over, accompanied by the sound of sharp blades cutting through the air. Kainai didn't even look at it, just caught it, and then threw it in the direction it came from. Ah, ah, ah. Accompanied by continuous screams, three figures fell from the sky. Like Kainai and the other two, they also wore a ninja forehead protectors. It's so easy to kill three enemies. ZHU Ludai and the other two were more and more frightened. Yi Kang glanced at the three rain ninja corpses and said hesitantly, Master Daoyu, it seems to be a rain ninja. It doesn't matter. Since they are so blind and dare to attack us, they deserve to die. Kainai shook his head indifferently, raised his hand, and sucked out the scroll in the backpack of one of the corpses. There was a word printed on the scroll, which was the same as Kainai's scroll, all of which were scrolls of heaven. The same scroll of heaven, but it doesn't matter. Yi Kang glanced at the scroll in Kainai's hand. The ninja's instinct to complete the task made her walk towards ZHU Ludai and the other two. Looking at Yi Kang, who was slowly approaching like the god of death, the hearts of ZHU Ludai and the other three were in their throats. Just when Yi Kang was about to take action, Kainai suddenly stopped her. Forget it, there are plenty of scrolls anyway. For the sake of that fat man's tribe, let them go. After speaking, Kainai looked deeply in the direction of ZHU Ludai and the other three, and disappeared into the jungle. Yi Kang followed closely behind. After Kainai and Yi Kang left, ZHU Lacho and the other two crawled out of the bushes, gasping for breath. I was so scared, I almost thought it was over. Choji grabbed a handful of potato chips and stuffed them into his mouth to soothe his injured young heart. You guy, it's already this time, and you're still eating. Ino kicked Choji angrily, turned his eyes to Shikamaru, and sighed. Shikamaru, by the way, what kind of monster was that bandaged man just now? Are they really genin? Fortunately, they didn't find us, otherwise it would be terrible. How could they not find us? Shikamaru sighed lightly, and recalled Kainai's words in his mind. He was suddenly startled, looked at Choji, and suddenly asked, Choji, does anyone in your tribe know the rain ninja? Choji scratched the back of his head, thought for a moment, and replied, probably not. None of our tribesmen have ever had contact with the rain ninja. Then what did he mean by what he said just now? Shikamaru was very puzzled. Not long after the Ino Shikacho, under Kainai's deliberate efforts, the other three of the 12 young warriors of Konoha, Hyuga Niji, Rock Lee, and Tenten, discovered him and Yi Kang. The three stood on the top of the tree trunk, looking down at the two people below. Tenten played with the kunai in her hand, and said with interest, Ningxi, it seems that we have encountered two people who are alone. They are really careless and actually appeared in front of us so swaggeringly. Rocky tilted his head, and looked at Ningxi. Do you want to do it? Ningxi frowned. Don't worry, there is still one person who has not appeared. It is very likely that he is hiding in the dark. Let me check it out. Roll your eyes. Ningxi made seals with both hands. His pure white eyes suddenly startled, and hideous and terrifying lines appeared on both sides of his cheeks near his eye sockets. Ningxi checked the surroundings, and found that there was no third person, except Kainai and the other two, so he turned his attention back to the two. The next second, the whole person was stunned for a moment, and large beads of sweat emerged from his temples. Run away. Without any hesitation, Niji pulled Rock Lee and Tenten away. Ninja, what's wrong with you? Rock Lee also moved, asking in confusion. Yeah, Niji, with your strength, those two people should not be your opponents. Tenten, who has always been very confident in Niji's strength, asked in confusion. Stop talking nonsense. Run or you will die. Niji frowned, quickened his pace, and shouted. The Byakugan can see the flow of chakra in the human body. In the original work, Niji relied on this to see that Kisame, in the state of the substitute of the elephant transfer technique, had an abnormally large amount of chakra. And today, he also saw extremely large chakras in the two rain ninjas disguised as Kainai and Yikang. Especially the chakra contained in Kainai's body has far exceeded his cognition. He is sure that these two people are definitely not Genin PS. First update, please recommend on monthly votes. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.